Hey everybody, it's Carl. Welcome to Carl's Opinion, and we are live for our Monday night live call-in show. And let's go and get that call-in number up right now. There we go. Boom. And there it is, 775-273-8970. And again, this is Carl for Carl's Opinion. Just want to welcome everybody who's here tonight and everybody who'll be viewing later. And we got a lot of news to get to. As you saw, we had the top story there. Well, not the top, but one of many stories regarding the Mueller probe and the Mueller report, which of course is driving the Democrats crazy. They don't know what to do with it. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer put out a statement, and the statement they didn't even mention once that Trump had been cleared of any collusion. Anybody in his campaign had been cleared of collusion / conspiracy. His children, his son-in-law. Everybody been cleared. Corsi, Papadopoulos, Manafort, Stone, anybody else they were looking at. Everybody's been cleared. There was no collusion. There was no conspiracy. There was no contacts between the Russians and the Trump campaign. It sounds like Barr said, according to Mueller, there were numerous offers made by the Russians to the Trump campaign. And some of those offers were actually plants put in there by the FBI. We know that as recently as, not as recently, but as long ago as March of 2016. They had plants there. That one professor from Malta who kind of vanished. Nobody knows where the hell he is. He was meeting with these guys like, hey man, you got any? Hey, I got some Clinton emails. You want to buy them? You know, the Russians got them. You know, I'm working for the Russians. You want to buy some emails? And everybody's like, no, man, get the hell away from us. What are you talking about? Leave us alone. You know, they approached Corsi with that. I think Papadopoulos with that as well. And they're like, you know, who the hell are you and what are you talking about? I thought you were one that talked to me about some kind of foreign affairs, you know, seminar I was giving, or you wanted me to come see you at a seminar you were giving and, you know, discuss, you know, Russian politics and stuff. And, you know, the next thing they're trying to sell these guys, you know, some emails and stuff, and they said no. And Mueller looked into that again, as I put in the ticker. 500 separate witnesses were interviewed, 2,800 subpoenas were issued, 50 wiretaps were issued, 500 search warrants were obtained. 19 staff prosecutors, some of the top prosecutors, federal prosecutors in the country, including Weissman, one of the top prosecutors in the country. He has some issues, but nobody can say that he's not a tough guy and he goes after people hard. And 30 million, although they said it may even be as high as 40 by the time the ink, you know, after the time the checks are written. So it looks like, you know, with all that thorough investigation, they couldn't establish, and that's, I saw Tucker tonight, this one guy was on there. Well, no, they didn't say he was innocent. They said they couldn't establish. Well, after 2 years and all those investigators, you can't establish, you know, any kind of conspiracy in any contacts between the Trump campaign and the Russians. You know, that's there's no evidence. Okay, you're not going to find it anywhere. No stone was left unturned by the Mueller investigative team. Oh, and 40 FBI agents, 40 full-time FBI agents going around talking to people with badges and guns, the power to arrest, power to detain, you know, power to you know, lay a little coercion on you, you know, all of this, and the Democrats still aren't happy. And now, of course, they're going after Rod Rosenstein, who they loved. You know, they're even going after Mueller, say it was some kind of a cover-up. You know, I saw some people talking about that. You know, Tucker did a really good show on that tonight. Tucker Carlson, I'm not sure if everybody caught it, but yeah, he kind of really went into it big time. And you know, and he should. The only network that was actually asking any questions, that was, CNN and MSNBC would have these guests on, these former U.S. assistant U.S. attorneys, and former U.S. attorneys as well, and other prosecutors, and they would have, you know, all these, you know, intelligence, you know, guys who formerly worked in the intelligence community, and they would connect the dots for you and say, oh yeah, based on this, and this, yeah, there's collusion, yeah, there's conspiracy, yeah, he's going to go, Trump's going to prison, his family's going to prison, they're all going to get indicted, they're all gone, see you later, have a nice day. And instead of the press, you know, when you have a guest on saying, well, you know, explain that, because I really, you know, I'm not seeing it, or just a little bit of pushback, or a little bit of critique of any of these people's opinion. No, they were just more than happy just to kind of go along and say, yeah, that's it, yeah, they're like cheerleaders for their guests. There were no interviews, no probing questions, no like, are you sure about that? I mean, really, what's your source on that? Are we just going to accept it at face value? And they did. They all wanted to accept it at face value, and that's a real shame. I mean, basically, you had the media just kind of giving up their role as being the media, being the mainstream media. They didn't have any interest in doing any kind of deep dives into any of these stories, to looking behind the sources. They would just accept at face value everything their guests had to say, because they were saying the same thing. I mean, Lawrence O'Donnell. I mean, God, Brian Williams, as they put in the ticker, every Friday night. I get stuck watching this. Every Friday night is like, oh, is this the smoking gun? Is this it? Is this the thing that's going to take him down? I swear to God, every Friday night for like a year and a half, 2 years, there was a smoking gun, the bombshell, and then by Tuesday, of course, it would just fizzle out, and there'd be no mention the following week by anybody, any of the guests or Brian Williams. Oh, by the way, remember that story we covered Friday where we thought it was the big smoking gun, the big bombshell? Yeah, it turned out not to be. No, they just went on to the next Friday night and said, oh, here's another bombshell, here's another smoking gun, every single week. And they kept selling it to their audience. And, if I was a member of their audience, I'd be asking a lot of questions. But they're not. No, people who've been following this, they're not asking questions. They're not saying, well, wait a second. I think you told us for 2 years that there was collusion, there was conspiracy, it was slam dunk. He was going to be the first president to, go to jail. His son was going to go to jail. His daughter was going to go to jail. His son-in-law was going to jail. Everybody was going to jail. And now you're telling me, now this Mueller report comes down and there's no collusion. It's like, if I was one of their viewers, I'd be a little bit, kind of upset about that. But they're not. Again, they're not upset. They're like, hey, well, I'm sure there's something else he did wrong. So the people, basically what I'm saying is the people who hate Donald Trump, they're always going to hate him. Now you're independent to people sitting on the fence. No, Trump will probably go up a few points in the polls. It'd be nice to see if he gets, a real solid above 50%. And I think NBC, Wall Street Journal had him at 46. I mean, that's NBC. You can never say about NBC and Wall Street Journal that, a poll regarding Trump's popularity is too high. Maybe it's too low, but definitely you can't say it's too high. Let's put it that way. So he was at 46 according to them last week. That was before the news came out. I guarantee once these polls start coming out, it's probably going to tick up a few points. Like I said, it would be nice if he got above 50. I don't know. Maybe he will. Maybe enough people will say, what's the deal? But the media is covering the tracks pretty good. They're immediately pivoting to the obstruction thing. Well, Mueller didn't clear him of obstruction. Well, maybe he should have cleared him or he should have indicted him. But one thing we know, he didn't recommend indictment. He just said, I'll leave it up to the Attorney General, knowing that Rod Rosenstein's in there. And that Barbara's going to, meet with Rosenstein, who's been on the case since the beginning. He's the one who appointed Mueller. And, of course, the two of them got together. They looked over everything, and they said, no, man, there's not enough here. Not to mention, obstruction was one, the special counsel was never obstructed. One thing Barr made clear that neither he nor any of his predecessors had did anything to, if Mueller wanted to go somewhere, he just had a free reign. He had open budget, free reign, do whatever he wanted, spend as much time as he wanted on anything. There was no deadline. You have to get the report in by this date. Nope. Could have kept going and going and going. Mueller just, ran out of things to go after. There wasn't anybody left to interview. There weren't any more documents to obtain. And if you remember correctly, Trump's initial attorneys thinking like, hey, we just give them everything because, they knew there was nothing there. They said, we just give these guys everything. Maybe they can wrap this up kind of quick. That was their strategy. Well, the strategy didn't work, but they gave him over everything. They just opened the door to say, here's every single document in the world. Go for it. Some people saying, Trump should be, saying an apology to Mueller. Well, no, he shouldn't be. The way Mueller conducted himself on this investigation, the people he went after, the people he leaned on really heavy. They get him to say Corsi. I mean, they hand him a plea agreement right in front of him and say, look, you just sign this and agree to say these things, or we're going to prosecute and send you to prison. And Corsi initially was going to do the deal, and then he backed out. He said, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to lie. This never happened. I'm not doing it. Go ahead, prosecute me. I don't care. You already bankrupted me. You already destroyed my life. I can't get hired doing anything else. I'm pretty much into forced retirement with no income, with no money left. I mean, he had spent it all on his attorney's fees. I mean, every time he went down to meet with these guys numerous times, and every time he had to produce things and go through his attorneys, those are billable hours. And these guys do these kind of cases, the kind of guys you have to hire. You're not coming, to, a small town attorney to do this. You're going to the big D.C. firms, big New York City firms. And those guys are expensive. Talking $1,000, $1,500 an hour, $2,000 an hour. I mean, it goes up fast. I mean, really quick. And then every time somebody signs a name or mails a letter, I mean, that's a billable hour. I mean, it's expensive. So there aren't any more true journalists. Just getting talking points at 4 a.m. every morning. Yeah, I agree with that. I really do. I mean, Fox News is the only people that were offered any kind of critique or pushback or just questioning. Hey, does this make any sense? And of course, they all got slammed. And Tucker had that one guy. I think it was Greenwald. I think his name Glenn Greenwald. He got slammed big time. He's a liberal, and he said, "Well, this doesn't make any sense." He was asking the questions, and of course, they accused him of being a Russian agent, and he's in bed with Trump and all this other stuff. And he goes, "No, I'm not, man. I didn't vote for Trump, nor would I ever vote for Trump. I'm just telling you, this story doesn't make any sense." And of course, Sean Hannity did a great job. He had Sarah Carter on, Tom Fenton with it might be Tom, I can't remember his first name, with Judicial Watch, doing a great job exposing all the emails and the text messages and all that. I mean, but and as it was coming down the pipe, you could see like, geez, this really isn't making any sense. And but there was no pushback from the mainstream media. Now they're just trying to cover their ass and saying, "Oh, we did a great job." And yeah, there were a few crazy commentators, a few, like all of them. I mean, turn on MSNBC any hour of the day. I mean, we start, even you just go to primetime. Chris Matthews, Chris Hayes, Rachel Maddow, my God, Lawrence O'Donnell, Jesus, Brian Williams, real cool, but man, he was like saying, "Oh, this is it. This is the end of it. Wow, we're going to see, oh, and these guys have so much experience and all this stuff, And I was getting an argument with friends of mine, and there were these, attorneys, these former U.S. attorneys and former Watergate prosecutors with all this experience, and it's like, well, they have all this experience, yeah, but they're also biased, because if they stopped and took a look at this thing, where it said, does this make any sense? Is this adding up? If you started, what's that saying? Crap in, crap out. Well, the whole investigation started with not a phony, but a prepared opposition research. It's kind of like the Swift boat thing for John Kerry in 2004. That was opposition research. I mean, what they do is they take a story. Well, Kerry, like for instance, here's Oppo research. It doesn't mean it's true. It just means it's Oppo research. It means they take a couple inferences and they use poetic license, if you will, and they kind of expand on it, and they just throw it out there. I mean, again, they're not doing like an intelligence probe. They're not doing, they're not publishing this, in some court document. They're not filing it in court. This is Oppo research. And then, that's the way campaigns work. They make up some crap about you. They stick it out there. And, then you have to respond. Now, here's the deal. So in 2004, you saw opposition research. It was the Swift boat attacks on John Kerry. He was in Vietnam. He got 3 Purple Hearts. Well, the last Purple Heart he got, which allows you to, leave Vietnam, and then he got to go home and protest. The last Purple Heart he got, he fired I don't want to say self-propelled, it's kind of like I don't know any military guys out there, it's like a M40 grenade launcher. I think that's what it was. So he fired a grenade launcher, and when he fired it, the target was too close to him. And so when it exploded, he got some of the shrapnel back on him. And that happens. I mean, that's warfare. I mean, there's collateral damage. There's, friendly fire. There's, where you throw a grenade and it goes up too close to you. In this case, it was I want to say a self-propelled grenade. I'm thinking maybe what it is, but I think it's an M40 grenade launcher is what they call it. So, and it blew up and he got shrapnel. Now, he grabbed his 3rd Purple Heart. Now, one could argue, well, maybe he didn't need to put himself in for that because it was his mess up, maybe not even a mess up. I mean, it's dark, you're in the battle, you're in combat, and things are moving fast, and somebody's trying to kill you, you're trying to kill them before they kill you. So he put himself in for that. So what they did is they took that story, and of course he was an officer, and he came from a family of money. So of course a lot of guys around him probably hated his guts to begin with, So they found these guys who hated his guts to begin with, and they put these stories out there. Well, that was Oppo research. Well, it turns out, a lot of what they said in there was not true. Now, Kerry couldn't respond right away because he was taking matching funds from the federal government. He was taking public funds, and you only get so much, like every month or something. And so they timed it when they put these ads out on TV. They timed it where they knew he wasn't getting his new source of money for like another 30 days. or like 3 weeks. So these stories sat out there. He didn't have the money to do his own campaign ads refuting this story, so it sat there for 3 weeks and picked up a lot of steam, and then it picked a lot of steam up on the news channels and stuff like that. But that Swift boat thing, that was Oppo research. So just like this with Trump, this was all opposition research. I mean, nobody said it was supposed to be true. I mean, he still didn't go over there and say, "Hey, this is true. This is this is it," because he didn't check out any sources. He didn't go to Moscow. He didn't interview anybody. This stuff was like email and fax probably, and phone calls, and he didn't go over and check out anything to see if anything was true. He didn't go to Prague and interview people. Hey, was Michael Cohen here? A lot of this he took off, like he said, he took off in his testimony where he was under oath in England. He said he got a lot of this stuff from CNN, like CNN, chat rooms and stuff, or CNN, comment sections. And you're like, oh, that sounds interesting. Let's go with that. Like Cohen's in Prague meeting with the Russians. Oh, okay. And he threw a lot of crap in there. But again, he wasn't trying to be factually correct, and he wasn't expected to. Just take a bit of a fact, add some stuff to it, use a little poetic license, put them in the same place at the same time. Like the whole idea, like Trump hired hookers to pee on the bed. Well, we know, okay, Obama's in in Moscow. He's at a hotel. Trump goes to Moscow afterwards. He stays at the same hotel. We know Trump hates Obama, and Trump likes hookers. So hey, how far-fetched is it to say that Trump hired some hookers to pee on the bed? And you just put it out there, and then you leave it up to the campaign to come back and respond. And of course, they're playing defense the whole time. They don't have much of a choice. They're just having to say, "Oh no, I didn't hire hookers to pee on a bed." Well, it's like saying, "Well, somebody accused you of being a witch." I'm not a witch, like that one girl in Maryland who ran back in the early 2000s. I mean, if you have to come out and say that, it's not beneficial. It doesn't help. So, I mean, again, that was the point of the opposition research. Just find some dirt, find something that's close to being true. It doesn't have to be 100% true. We can't get sued for defamation. He's a public figure. Just get some crap out there. And so next thing you know, Steele's not getting any traction with the media because he was wanting, one thing they could have done with these stories that Steele came up with was like use it in campaign ads, but that would have been like too obvious. It would have been like, no, that we don't believe that. Everybody remembers 2004 with John Kerry. So what they try to do is try to peddle to media outlets, and like media outlets picking up and say unnamed sources or high level sources provided us this document, and this is what they discovered. Something like that to give it some kind of credibility versus they're putting a campaign ad because it's a campaign ad. It's like, oh well, we know that's not true. It's a campaign ad. But if the media picks it up and runs with it, then suddenly it's not a campaign ad. It's like, ooh, this might be true. But nobody would touch it. I mean, again, all the people, hey, Mr. Douchebag, all the people who hated Trump, CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post. I even peddled this to BuzzFeed, and BuzzFeed didn't even run until they had a hook themselves. Let's see. But BuzzFeed didn't even run it until they could get a hook, namely Clapper having Comey, brief the president on it. So, all these outlets turned it down, and of course, Steele's getting really crazy about it. And then Michael Isikoff, who used to be a great reporter, he was with Newsweek back in the day when Newsweek was a real news magazine. He now writing for Yahoo News. That's not much. I'm going to put that on my resume. There you go. So. Call in. But Mr. Douchebag, if you want to call in anytime. But it's not much of a resume to say you work for Yahoo News. Yahoo News. At least Google News. You could, heck, I look at Google News. You know what I mean? So. It's definitely, I wouldn't have a problem if you worked for Google News. So, but there you go. But Yahoo News, and so he published a story, but nobody picked it up because it was, let's be honest, it was written for Yahoo News, and everybody thought it was really stupid. And he didn't publish, and even Isikoff didn't put everything in there that he saw from the dossier. So, But anyway, so they wouldn't pick it up. So then they tried peddling it to the FBI, to justice. Now, this was kind of a little shady. And again, Orr kind of, said, hey, man, it's my wife, it's my wife's company. You never brought me here. What's up, fellow? But hey, how you doing, Mr. Gator? Gator never been about that. There you go. But what movie was that? That was a oh damn it, a movie Will Ferrell. God, I can't remember the name of the movie. Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. But anyway, so then he tried getting into justice and FBI, and he got it to FBI or gave it to McCabe, telling McCabe ahead of time, hey man, this is op research. I mean, you better check this out. This ain't. I'm not sure this is even true. My wife's been working on it, but she works for Fusion GPS, who was hired by the Clinton campaign. So Orr's giving them all these warnings, and let's see. Orr's giving McCabe all these warnings, and Lisa Page is in the room with him at the time, so she confirms it when she testified. Yeah, Orr was saying, "Hey man, just check." Yeah, Will Ferrell. Yeah, so so Orr's giving all these warnings, and McCabe says, "Oh yeah, we'll look into it." Well, of course he doesn't. He doesn't look into it. Doesn't confirm it, verify it. Doesn't do anything with it. Next thing you know, they're Strzok and everybody else, doing this big investigation, and they're using it as a basis for the FISA warrant. They copy, Isakov's story from Yahoo News, saying, "Well, see, that's corroboration." No, it's just reporting on the same story, so it wasn't corroborating. And off they go get a FISA warrant, and they move kind of quick. I mean, I think they got this in July. And then they were getting the FISA warrant in September, I think, September, October, somewhere around there. But I mean, it's just, just crazy. And let me just cut over to the story. In fact, let's see, cut. Okay. Up, Mr. Douchebag. Hey, Mr. Douchebag, how you doing?
What's up, Carl? Hey, I sent you a fantastic Patriot. You see him in the chat room, Gator.
I saw Mr. Gator. Yeah, I mean,
yes,
I remember the movie. In fact, yeah, it was really good movie.
Oh well, yeah, no, we both just came from Forbidden Information's live stream, and she signed off now. So then I got the notification that you were on.
Okay, cool.
And you know me, I never miss Carl's opinion. I love to hear Carl's opinion.
Excellent.
So are we open topic tonight, Carl?
Yeah, I mean, Mueller's in the news, of course, but a lot of people have been talking about Mueller forever. So it seems like it's been forever. Oh. But yeah, whatever you want to talk about, it's fine with me.
No, what's really funny is that I don't know if you've ever heard those conspiracy theories about how Mueller was working for Trump and everything. And it's funny because I was thinking about that today when I was watching Lindsey Graham addressing the press. And, of course, the buffering was bad, so I couldn't see everything. But what was really interesting was I wouldn't be surprised if some of those theories held up, because, I mean, how many times did Mueller say, and Rod Rosenstein himself said, Trump was not a target of the Russia investigation,
Right.
Mueller was stalling for time, as everybody knew, hoping that the Democrats could take the House and Senate. But since they failed to take the Senate, Mueller really had nothing to go on.
Right. Right. Because go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I was going to say because, and even if they had, what would have mattered? Can you imagine if the Democrats would take the House and Senate, Trump would probably have faced a 2/3 majority impeach, right? But
well, all depends how many votes they all depends how many seats they would have picked up in the Senate. But yeah, I mean, with 12 Republicans jumping ship, although I don't think Ron Paul would have voted for impeachment. But yeah, I can see Mitt Romney, those guys, that crowd voting for impeachment. I don't know if they would have got 2/3. That's still a pretty big hurdle to catch, but it would have been closer. That's for sure. It would have been. Let's put it this way: the House definitely would have taken a look. Pelosi would have taken the risk of doing it, thinking that something might break in her favor, and she might, the Senate might in fact convict and remove him from office. But I mean, that election was good that Trump did that last month of about 2 months actually. of campaigning for different Senate candidates. You know, a lot of people. Bannon said he should have concentrated more on the House, but you know, you're talking 435 House elections versus say one third of 100, like 30 Senate elections, and then just focus on a few of the swing states, which he did, and he was successful in every state he campaigned in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, thank God he was out there doing it. Well, actually, he wasn't successful in my state, but he only came out here twice. And Dean Heller, who was the senator who's running for re-election, the Republican, he was a rhino big time. I mean, he came out and said after Trump's immigration policy, he wasn't going to vote for Trump, and then he said right after that stupid story from whatever that NBC leaked regarding you can grab them from their vaginas. He said, "Oh, I'm definitely not voting for Trump. I'll never vote for Trump." So I mean, a lot of Republicans, even though Trump came out to campaign for him, trust me, a lot of us weren't happy. I mean, I voted for the guy anyway, but there wasn't like any kind of enthusiasm for Dean Heller. So I don't know if Trump could have resurrected him, because I mean, he came right out and said he wasn't voting for Trump right before the election. And figuring Trump would lose, and then 2 years later in 2018 when he ran for re-election, he'd be okay. Well, Trump won, and he got screwed, and he screwed himself. So I feel bad that we lost the Senate seat, but he's one of those guys. I guarantee you, he's one of those guys on immigration. He would have voted to terminate. He would have voted for the resolution to terminate the national emergency without any doubt in my mind. He would have voted that way anyway. So Catherine Cortez Masto. Well, actually, who won his Senate seat? It wasn't Cortez Masto. It was Jackie Rosen. Jackie Rosen obviously voted to. I want to say Jackie Rosen. She voted to terminate the national emergency, but Dean Heller would have voted the same way too. So it really wouldn't have mattered one way or the other, actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got these. It's funny because rhinos usually keep a low profile. They have exposed themselves more this time around than they ever have in any history. I mean, they exposed themselves some during the Reagan era, but I mean, I don't know what reeled Lindsey Graham back in. I don't know what reeled Ted Cruz back in, but they were going off on the path of rhino for a while.
Yeah,
but,
well, with Graham, it was personal. I mean, remember, Trump went after Graham pretty heavy in the campaign. And remember, he gave Graham's cell phone number out publicly. Remember that he gave Graham's cell phone. Yeah. So I mean, there was some bad blood there, and that's hard. Let's be honest, that's kind of hard to get over. I mean, you can't get over that right away. Now he got over it better than say McCain did, and plus he was really close friends with John McCain. And Trump took the one thing McCain had in his life, namely being a war hero. He took that away from him. Put a stain on that. But after McCain died, and I think Graham felt a certain amount of loyalty to McCain. Like, he didn't want to be too friendly with Trump because he didn't want to piss off McCain. It's like, why are you being friends with him? Stop it. I thought you were my friend, that kind of shit. But after McCain died, you notice, man, Graham just went, like, to town. He started off with that Kavanaugh hearing, man. That was awesome, that speech he gave at the Kavanaugh hearing. So, I mean, I think he's back on board, and he came out today saying, He was the one pushing it big time. Hey, I want an investigation on how this whole mess started, because we're not just going to let this go. And even Trump said, we can never let this happen to another president again. And that was a good point he made today. He didn't say, hey, this is wrong, it happened to me, but he said, you know what, we can't let this happen to another president again. Another president can't go through this for 2 years and hamstring his entire administration. Did you see Tucker's interview with Don Jr. tonight?
No, I didn't. I missed it. It's on my feed. I have to watch it.
No, it was really good. It was really good. One point he brought up was that he said, my dad has done a lot of great things in these 2 years with all this hanging over his head. Can you imagine how many great things he could have done if this wasn't hanging over his head?
Yeah. Well, I was watching on One American News. Apparently, a conservative group is starting to form to back Tucker Carlson. Of course, the buffering, on my phone, but I was going to look at that, but it seems like now that the right is starting to push back a little bit against the censorship that's been going on to these conservatives.
Well, Trump came out. I had to explain to some liberal friends of mine. They said, why is Trump coming out so hot and heavy and beating up on McCain and everything and the censorship and all that? I said, look, a lot of us have been complaining about the censorship for the last couple of years. And Trump's been really quiet on it, and I think he kind of realized, we were like, hey, man, we need some help out here. And so that's why he went to town. Yeah. And so he kind of gave everybody a big a big boost in the last couple of weeks, which was good. But
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think we definitely
Yeah.
need to be pushing back on this. I mean, we put up with this shit for like the last 3 years. Enough's enough
Yeah.
already. Okay,
Yeah.
obviously they're talking about fake news and they want to like. Did you see Paul Watson's video
Mm-hmm.
on that? Did you see?
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch Paul Watson?
No, I didn't.
Oh, Paul Watson did a great thing. He goes,
I didn't. I haven't. I haven't. I've been a douchebag all day. I haven't had much time to catch up on some of the news.
you've been out there
But
trolling. You've
no.
been
But
out
go
there
ahead. Go
trolling
ahead.
people and stuff.
Oh yeah, you know me.
But yeah, Paul Watson.
Somebody was saying,
Paul Watson had a great take on it. He says, all these
mhm,
people are pushing for, these big, tech companies are pushing for censorship because they're saying, well, we don't want to allow phony conspiracy theories to go out there and stuff like that. He goes, well,
mhm,
this Mueller report just proved that for the last 2 years, 3 years almost, all the mainstream media has been pushing the biggest, fakest conspiracy theory in the world. That Trump was
yeah,
conspiring with the
mhm,
Russians. Now, are any of them going to get censored? Are you
mhm.
going to take them off of Twitter or YouTube or whatever and say, "Oh, I'm sorry," or take them
I
off
don't know.
Google Feed? No. I mean,
Yeah,
compared to what Alex Jones is doing, I mean, Alex Jones is doing nothing compared to this mess. I mean, this was huge. I mean, they
yeah,
pretty much shut down the government for a couple of years. I mean, things going to get done. Nobody could even talk to each other.
yeah. Well, it's like Louis Farrakhan, and Ilhan Omar. They don't censor them when they make outrageous tweets or they, say things like we're gonna. Or
No.
that other lady, Tashida Raleigh,. Or whatever her name is.
Mhm.
And what's interesting? Brigitte Gabriel, she hammers these individuals. She does not like them. But Brigitte Gabriel has a big following.
Yeah.
And like I catch her stuff once in a while. You don't really see a lot of her stuff, but I mean, she does interviews once in a while. But she speaks out on the dangers of radical Islam. I mean, she. I mean, Paul. I have no problem with anybody's, how they live their lives or who they worship. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want it forced down my throat any more than anybody else would want something forced down their throat. You know what I mean? I
Oh
mean,
no! I
you
mean,
know,
look, no, I mean, look. You live your life the way you want it, but exactly. Don't just stick it in my face, literally stick it in my face every 5 minutes. A little play on words there.
yeah,
But yeah, just
yeah.
live your life. Hey man, whatever you're doing, whatever. But yeah, just
Hmm.
don't be showing up in the streets every 10 minutes. Complaining about things that don't exist. Complaining about
Yeah.
discrimination where it doesn't exist. Axe talks about that. He goes like, there is nobody out there persecuting gay people. He goes, I know, because Axe is
Hmm.
gay, and he says, look,
Yeah.
I don't feel persecuted. Okay, so anybody who's saying they feel persecuted is making that up. Because I can do whatever I
Yeah.
want, say
Yeah.
whatever I want, go wherever I want. If I want to open a business, I can open a business. I can go shopping.
Yeah.
Nobody's bothering me.
Yeah. Axis, if I'm not mistaken, Carl, Axel kind of strikes me as a classical liberal. I'm not talking about the progressive. I know he
Well,
was on
well,
that
well.
side at one time,
I
but
think he said he was. He's pretty far out there on the left. He's for gun control and all that kind of stuff. Well, though liberals were
hmm
generally for gun control too. I always remember even back in the '90s and the '80s, they always seemed to be pushing for something about gun control. But
yeah,
but yeah, I think he's. Yeah, I agree. He's more the. But I mean, he was. He said he was out there. He was out there on the progressive side, the left side.
hmm
And So, but I mean, he said he's not being. He said he's not being persecuted. But no, it's good that
yeah,
a lot of people like somebody was talking about. I was talking to somebody today. Oh, somebody outside my office. We were talking, and
hmm
he was what the hell was he saying? God, I can't remember what he was saying, but it was something good as far as mm, I don't know. Well, anyway, I forgot, but he was saying something good.
yeah. But what's interesting now with the gun control? It looks like the NRA is trying to soften some of the gun laws in Australia, but I don't know if they're doing anything in New Zealand. But when I was watching that, that kid that egged that politician, that Australian politician in the back of the head, they're calling him Egg Boy.
No,
He was talking about.
I didn't see that. So wait, so somebody threw an egg
No, it
at a
was
politician.
hilarious. And
So
that, it just, well, what he was talking about was, I think it was him. He was talking about, oh, there was no panic buy in New Zealand, yada yada. You want to bet that there was a panic buy? I mean, because they're sitting here trying to ban what is it, AR-15s now, and they're trying to ban semi-automatic guns. I mean, I think New Zealand's waking up a little bit. as to what these globalist control puppets want to do.
Well, you sure?
know?
Wait. You mean wait? You mean New Zealand's going to push back on this, or I thought they were just going to pass all these gun control laws like willy nilly, like they were just going to pass them left way and sideways?
Well, I think I don't know. I think that's what I heard too. But then they were talking about how there was no panic buy. But I mean, how could there not be a panic buy? There's always a panic buy anytime some kind of major gun control legislation, gets passed and people get wind of it.
Right.
I mean, we had our panic buy back in 2016, and then that article that I was telling you about last few times we talked, where Black Friday gun sales went through the roof. I guarantee you that was a panic buy as well. It may not have been labeled as a panic buy, but I guarantee you people were taking advantage of those sales. I mean, people, these globalists just don't get it. They're see, the funny thing about these globalists, I'm sorry, Carl, I'm not trying to jump from subject to subject, but the thing about these globalists is that they're out of touch with how to deal with people. You always hear stories about how rich people have some of the weirdest habits in the world, like, I once read that Robert Mercer, even though the man is brilliant, but they say he likes to walk around with his hands in his pocket whistling all the time. And like he collects stockpiles urine and things like that. I mean, some of these people have some of them. Yeah, I saw that on a thing about him on YouTube. But but again, these people are, their IQ levels are just through the roof. They're super geniuses. They know how to shake the political systems. That's why you always hear me say, Mercer. That the Mercer family are giving these globalists such grief, is to, the fact that the Mercers are able to push back against a cabal of globalists like this is pretty impressive.
No, it is. Hey, I was going to ask. I was going to ask you. You said your phone keeps buffering. What kind of phone do you have? Do you have an iPhone or Android? What do you have?
It's an Android. No, it's not buffering now. I've got my laptop set up so I can see you, but I'm using my Android.
What kind of internet? I mean, what kind of internet service do you have there? Do you have like a cable that comes in the house?
No, it's my mobile. It's my
like your hotspot
carrier. It's my cell phone provider. Yeah, okay. No, I don't use my hotspot. It's my cell phone provider.
Okay, yeah, because you can get like an antenna or something for your phone, or you can get like an antenna that you can hook up to a router, and that can hook up. That can become wireless through your house, and you get an an indoor antenna, an outdoor antenna, and then it runs like a cable line from the outdoor antenna to the indoor antenna, and then the indoor antenna is then wireless. And now the range isn't always very good. You can the real expensive ones you can use for like a 2,800 square foot house. But if you want to just if you're typically in one or two rooms using your cell phone on the internet, then you can get a less expensive one. And it's supposed to work really good. It kind of gives it a boost, so like it goes for the cell towers. Like if you're using your cell phone, which would be good. So I don't know how far the cell tower is from your house or where you live, but then it gives you that extra push. It brings in a little bit more signal, and then you'll never have any problems.
Yeah.
So you might want to
feel bad that time.
You might want to might want to think about that because you're. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I don't like spending money either, but there are certain things that we use in life that we use a lot. And those things are worth spending a couple of bucks on, so that it makes your life easier. So you don't have to worry. Like you can watch whatever you want when you want. You don't have to worry about buffering or anything like that. So maybe get on Amazon. I use Amazon, but anyway, get on whatever and just kind of punch in like I forget what the search is for it because I was looking at them last week. But yeah, that way you won't have any problems. Man,
Oh yeah. I still feel bad that we weren't able to continue our conversation when I was camping. And we were, it's funny because I forget some of what we were talking about, but the stream was just, it was buffering in and out, and I couldn't hear you, but
Oh, shit happens.
But But what's interesting, Carl? Another thing that's interesting too. Oh, hey Laura, what's up? Hey Lynx.
Republic's in there too. Republic Tea Room is in there as also Republic Tea Room USA. Texas. Republic
Texas Tea Room USA.
Republic Tea Room USA. That's Texas RN.
Hey, Texas RN.
Yeah, that Texas
Wow, I wonder
RN.
whatever. I don't see Lilo. I don't see Nunya's back on. I saw Nunya. She did a video about her new Snake Phantom,
Oh, she did do a video
and
on it.
hope she.
Oh, yeah, okay. Because yeah, she talked about that the other night when she called in the other night,
Hmm.
and she talked about her snake,
Hmm.
the new snake she got.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? I actually spoke to Nunya on a live chat one time. Similar to how we're talking,
Uh-huh.
but she had her husband with her. I forget his name, but
I think his
I
name's
mean,
Nathan. Yeah,
it was
Nathan.
Nathan. Yeah, yeah, Nathan. And she or he he knows. I mean, he same with us. He kind of. I guess he studies. He's been paying attention to what's going on the last several years. I don't know. I don't know how well he followed it, but I tell you what, he has some pretty good knowledge about some of the things that are going on and some of the just some of the different talking points that like I don't know how to explain that. I mean, I spoke to him, but not. I only spoke to him once, so it's kind of hard to get an idea of like if he was like Republican or independent. But I mean, not that it mattered, but I'm always trying to encourage Nunya to do more videos. I mean, she's got to, like I was telling her, every voice matters. Everybody needs to get their voice out there. I mean, that was one of the reasons why I was promoting forbidden information because she's an up and coming YouTuber, so is Chris and Yan, and we got to get behind, and you too, Carl. We got to get behind people who have a voice, because
Oh no, I
with
was talking. I
2020
was
fast
no,
approaching.
yeah, no, I totally agree. I was talking to Nunya because we were talking about like she says, she live streams, but she doesn't always know if she's doing it right. So no, I was talking to her. I was
Hmm.
talking to her about what I do here with VMix and the production and all that, and I was walking
Hmm.
her through it and stuff. And but the good news for her is her husband. He's a gamer. And so what I was telling her, I said, look,
Hmm.
when I went to a computer store and I was trying to tell them what I needed or what do I need for this VMix production and stuff, they all looked at me like deer caught in the headlights. They didn't know what I was talking about. And then I was reading up on it
Hmm.
when I got home, and it looked like all the same stuff that gamers use, we use for
Hmm.
VMix production for anybody who's doing production on YouTube. So next time I went back to the computer
Yeah.
store, I said, "Look, I need stuff for like a gamer would use. We do the same thing gamers do." And then all these kids in there, of course, they
Hmm.
know everything. They're like, "Oh, you need this much RAM, you need
Hmm.
this much of a CPU, you need this, you need that, you need this kind of a camera,
Hmm.
you need this kind of audio, and this kind
Hmm.
of a mixer." They knew everything you needed. Then anytime you have a question, if you look on YouTube for like how to hook up mixer boards and stuff to PCs and streaming, it's
Hmm.
all gamer stuff. That they do the same exact
Yeah.
thing that we do. So I was talking to her about it the other night. So yeah,
Hmm.
hopefully she starts getting
Hmm.
into it. I told her to go to
Hmm.
vmix.com. I said, look, here's the deal with vmix.com because
Hmm.
she was trying to use OBS and she felt like she was stupid. And I said, don't feel like you're
Hmm.
stupid. OBS is something
Oh
something.
no. Hmm.
I said OBS.
Hmm.
I tried using it. I mean, literally, I wanted to throw the laptop against the wall. I was so frustrated using it. But
Hmm.
then I found this vmix thing. It's like vmix is like Ecamm. Actually uses Ecamm. That's for Apple. That's for Macs. vmix is for PCs.
Hmm.
And I said I found this vmix thing, and they
Yeah.
give a free 60-day free trial, no obligation. You don't have to give a credit card or anything. They give you your registration
Hmm.
ID number. You punch it into your computer, and you're off to the
Yeah.
races. And then they have all these tutorials on YouTube that you watch. You have to sit down and watch them. I mean, and stuff. But I said you can
Hmm.
learn this. In that 60-day for free. You got 60 days to figure it out, and I was up and
Hmm.
going within that. I was broadcasting within that 60-day free trial, and then after
Hmm.
near the 60, I think about 4 or 5 days before the 60 days ran out, then I went ahead and actually purchased it. And it's a one-time purchase price. It's not like you got to pay every month
Hmm.
or every year. And they have some upgrades, but most of the upgrades are free. Every once in a while they charge you like
Yeah.
30 or 60 bucks, but it ain't no big deal. And then you don't even have to get the upgrade if you
Hmm.
don't want it because it's just adding something to it. But I put her onto
Yeah.
that, and I said, hey, check with your husband because whatever he's doing over there when he's streaming, because gamers stream all over the place. That's what they do. They a lot of them use two different PCs
Yeah.
like I do, and a mixer board like I
Hmm.
do. And I said, get with him. He'll know all
Hmm.
that stuff. You know.
Yeah. Because I think Nunya, like, one thing I've noticed, like, just hearing Nunya talk and, seeing, like, one thing, like, I don't know if she's college educated or not. I don't know if she ever mentioned that or not, but one thing I noticed, like, that I can, like, have in common with her is that we both have life experience. I'm not college educated, but I have a lot of life experience. I mean, I deal with people every day, you know, and I know how to. I'm not trying to brag, but I know how to talk to people. I know how to kind of. If you notice my one-liners, you could tell I'm probably creative with words, right?
Right.
And like how I was saying last time on your show, like when I talk to people about politics, one of the things I do is I ask certain questions. I ask, do you like guns? But it's things that don't necessarily have to do with politics, but get brought up in politics, right?
Right. Right.
And have a conversation, right? And again, whenever I've heard someone say, "Well, I like to shoot," but then I get to talking to them and I can see that they're left, or that they have more left leaning than right. The fact that they own a gun, again, and I know I've said this before too, but the fact that they own a gun tells me that they at least have some, some understanding as to why people own guns. It may not be constitutionally based why people have guns, but it's grounded in the fact that, whether it's home defense or, protecting their families, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And sometimes the way that the Democrats push gun laws, you can actually get through to some of these left-leaning people. Like how I was saying, I've probably red-pilled maybe 3 or 4 people in the past 5 months, not, their views on Trump may not have changed, but maybe as time goes on and these Democrats continue to get more and more crazy, they might think that, maybe Trump isn't such a bad guy after all. Maybe Trump, is trying to make our country better, save our country. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, because like I was saying last time on your show, a lot of new Trump supporters were former Bernie Sanders supporters. H.A. Goodman's a good example of this.
I was watching H.A. Goodman's show last night.
Yeah, I haven't seen his live streams. I was watching him heavily during the primary. I mean the midterms,
right?
Because he was covering it, and he was he was making a lot of predictions about how the Republicans were going to keep the House and Senate. But see, his predictions were based on citizens voting, not so much illegals voting, but citizens voting. And like in Florida, DeSantis won by over 50,000 votes, but you take away those illegals, DeSantis would have probably won by over 100,000 votes.
Right.
I mean, I know it was a close. Both races were close. Even in Texas, it was close. But who knows how it's going to go the next time around? See what these globalists like you were saying too. They want to live to see their new world order happen, right? But what they're also afraid of too is people getting red pilled. They also fear that more than anything. That's why that's one of the reasons why they constantly push these narratives of Trump being a racist and Trump, just not caring about the minority, yada yada. I mean, and I think people are seeing through this. A lot of people are seeing through the BS. And that's a good thing. The question is, are people getting red pilled fast enough, for 2020? But
unfortunately, switching parties, switching philosophies. For some people, that takes a while to do, and some people will. Remember, Ronald Reagan said he didn't switch his party affiliation until 1960, and because he got called out in a debate, he says, "Oh, Reagan was a Democrat until Richard Nixon ran, and until Richard Nixon ran, so he decided to vote for Nixon instead of John F. Kennedy." And then Reagan retorted back. He goes, "No, actually, the first Republican I voted for was Dwight Eisenhower in 1952. He goes, I just had a hard time changing my party affiliation because I've been a Democrat my whole life." So some people people, even if they don't change their party affiliation, like Reagan did, he voted for Eisenhower in 52 and 56, but he didn't change his party affiliation Republican until 1960, to the 1960 election. So, I mean, that's how some people are. It's hard to make that change sometimes.
I've been an independent. I mean, I've never been Democrat or Republican. I've always been independent.
Then you don't get to vote in the primaries, though. And the primaries are always fun. You don't get to be one of those primary voters. Like you go to in my state we have a caucus, which is pretty fun. You get to show up. You go to a high school or In our case, it was a junior high, and you break up in different precincts, go to different classrooms, and it's kind of a fun event. You know, you run into people you know and stuff, and it's like, hey, you know, and then you're supposed to caucus. I mean,
Yeah.
we were supposed to caucus. You know, we're supposed to actually have some debates and stuff, and that's when Cruz was still in and Rubio was still in. And so ours, it started off really good, and I was like, made me the precinct captain, put me in charge of the room, and so it was pretty cool. We were having a cool little debate between the Cruz supporters and the Trump supporters and the Rubio supporters, and then some old people said, "God damn it, I'm tired. It's getting late. I want to go home. Just pass out the goddamn ballots." And I'm like, oh, and then a few more old people like, yeah, and I thought they were going to attack me with their walkers or something, you know. So I said, okay, here. Then I just started passing out the ballots, and of course, when everybody got their ballots, they turned them in and they split. So I mean, it was turning out to be a fun night. You know, I was ready to go, and I think we started like at what time? Like 5 or 6. It was dark out, so I'm trying to remember. It was like probably 5 or 6. And then it was going to be a fun night, you know. But then these old people were like just wanted to go vote and go home. It's like, well, no, that's called that's called a primary. We're a caucus. See, the whole point of a caucus, like they do in Iowa, because Iowa they take that shit serious. I mean, if you showed up in Iowa and you said, just give me my ballot, I want to go home, they say, get the hell out of here, go home. No, this is a caucus. We do this like every 4 years, and we take it seriously. People actually really caucus there. They talk and they debate and stuff. So anyway, so I passed the ballots out, and it was kind of made it a short night, but it was fun though initially, you know. So, but
It's interesting because a lot of times, like I mean, I probably should start going to some of these meetings that like in my county, attending some of these Republican meetings, see what plan, because it always starts off, in a small area, and then it goes bigger, so people got to get involved. They got to start in their own community, because what happens in your community can potentially affect your whole state. And what's really funny too is, like, in these meetings, I've seen people say, like they've asked questions once in a while, like, how many of you, both in Democrat and Republican, how many of you don't want to give up any of the Constitution, right? Nobody raises their hand, right? But then you got people who are voting for, and I know I've talked about this before too, you got people who are voting for rhinos and Democrats who have 40, 50, 60% constitutional voting record. I don't think you're ever going to find a candidate that has at least an 80 or more. And if you do, they're not very many. But what people don't understand is, even if, that people say, well, 80 is not bad, yada, yada. Well, that 15, 20% could potentially mean where, it has kind of led us to where we are today. It could mean, whether or not the Constitution gets followed at all, I mean, let's face it, I don't think any candidate in history really has a perfect constitutional voting record. I mean, ever since the formation of our government.
Well, no, look. First of all, I don't do litmus tests for my candidates. Okay, I mean, I just don't. I know Grayson does. Fine, I don't. Okay, I mean, I'm sorry. If I want to clone, if a guy go, I'm just going to follow the Constitution. Well, that's nice, but sometimes you got to pivot. I mean, and look, let's be honest with you, with each other. Okay, this national emergency. Yeah, the Congress voted to give the president authority to declare a national emergency, but they gave it to him by statute. There's a big question mark whether or not Congress can constitutionally give over its power of appropriations to the executive branch. Okay, so you want to be a strict constitutionalist? Well, then you better undo the national emergency, because it's probably unconstitutional. Because most likely one branch cannot turn over its constitutional authority to another branch, and that's just the way that goes. Period. So if you want to be a strict constitutionalist, sometimes shit don't get done. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just don't go there, man.
Yeah. See, I'm not a strict constitutionalist either. I mean, but I understand why we have one.
Well, no.
And,
I'm not saying throw the damn thing out. I'm just saying every once in a while you gotta pivot a little bit. What I'm saying is, you got a vote coming up there, and there's these amendments on it and stuff like that, and say, well, okay, I'm just going to vote the constitutional, vote for the, with the way the Constitution tells me to vote. No, I voted you. We're in a representative democracy. Okay, yeah, the Constitution's there. It's there to protect us. It's there. It's our framework for government. But it's a representative democracy. I voted you to use your best judgment when you're there on the floor making a vote.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't need you pulling up the Constitution to look at. I could do that myself. Okay, I mean,
Hmm.
any
Yeah.
idiot can bring a
Hmm.
book with him and read it. So no,
Yeah. Because Derek Grayson speaks from like a conservative, like a hardcore conservative constitutionalist. I mean, I agree more with Hugh than I do with Grayson on certain things. You know, like Grayson talks about like how I think I remember listening to him once talk about how um, libertarians, I'm trying to remember. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to get my facts wrong or anything, but he said something about how libertarians are not true conservatives, but libertarians have conservative views, more so than probably I don't know, maybe I guess every libertarian is different, obviously, but um, conservative Mexican was talking about the Libertarian Party in California is for limited government, but they're for open borders, or at least one of those libertarian parties out there, And I'm like, I don't see how they could, it's kind of strange to be in that position, to have that want limited government, but then you want the borders wide open, I mean, and these people that, some of these people that like today, more ignorant stuff. Some guy was telling me today, well, no Democrat is pushing for open borders. Okay, why do you vote for Democrats who are backed by groups like Labrie and the Koch brothers, Hispanic super CPAC or something like that, or some kind of pact that the
well,
Koch
no.
brothers
I mean,
back?
look,
Why do
hold on. Again, we are a democratic
Mhm.
republic, so I mean, we are allowed to have people who think it's a good idea for the country overall to have open borders. I mean, look, I totally disagree with
Yeah,
open borders. I think it destroys the country. Now, people can have
yeah,
people who just want to get people here to get votes and get power. Yeah, okay. I mean, you can't have a discussion with them because they're not talking any sense. But if there are people who think,
yeah,
hey, I think it's a good idea we have open borders, we get more immigration here, it's good for the country, and they explain why they think it's good for the country. I disagree, obviously, but to have open
mhm,
borders. But I mean, you can have a legitimate debate about it, and then from a business. Now, if you're
yeah,
a businessman, hey, guess what? Remember,
mhm,
Supreme Court said corporations, have freedom of speech rights as far as donating money. So they're, when
mhm,
Romney said corporations are people too, I mean, he was really telling the truth. So if you're a
yeah,
if you have a big multi-billion-dollar corporation and it does you good to have open borders and to have a flood of immigrants so that labor costs go down so you make more money, well, we can't tell this guy not
mhm,
to vote, because he's greedy.
yeah.
We can't
Oh
say,
yeah,
well, you can't vote
yeah.
because you're greedy, or you can't back a candidate who wants open borders. You're telling him, oh, you just want it for the humanity, but you really want it for the money, or he knows you want it for the money, but you want it for the humanity. So this guy gets in bed with the greedy capitalist, who just wants oh, I love people and let everybody in. Well, I mean that's what we
Mhm,
get. It's like when Ocasio Cortez got elected. Hey, democracy in
yeah.
action. Well, only 13,000
Mhm,
people showed up to vote. Well, tough shit. The other guy should have made sure he got
yep.
another 13,000 to vote for him. I mean,
Yeah.
so I mean that's the way.
Mhm,
Look, that's our government. We elect some stupid people once in a while, but hey,
mhm,
I like it just the way it is.
mhm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh yeah.
I
No.
mean,
No. Definitely. Yeah.
it's been working for 230 years, which is the longest
Mhm,
surviving single form of government for any Western democracy in the world. It
mhm,
works. Every once in a while we elect people stupid, but you know what? It's weird. It's like things have a way of balancing out. Stupid people
mhm,
either they kind of lose power or they go flash in the pan. You have flash in the pans in Congress too. They're flash in the pan.
mhm,
They talk a big game like McConnell. McConnell's going to knock her down Ocasio Cortez a couple of steps this week. He's doing that vote on the Green New Deal.
mhm.
Well, these
Yeah.
people, and now, and guess what? If one senator demands an actual record vote versus a voice vote, that's all it takes. There ain't no voice
Mhm.
vote. So that means everybody's going to have to put their name
Yeah.
on whether they're voting yes
Mhm.
or no to a $93 trillion Green New Deal. So good for McConnell.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the funny thing about that is you got Ocasio Cortez and Markey, the senator who's got it in, who filed it in the Senate, and Ocasio filed it in the House. And so he says, okay, we'll call it
Mhm.
for a vote. And the Markey's like, oh, you're being mean,
Mhm.
you're being cruel, you're trying to ruin this. You're trying to no, he says you're trying to ruin our movement. Usually
Yep.
senators when they file a bill, they have a hard time getting a vote on it. and they bitch and moan about it. Say, oh, you won't bring it to the floor. You won't get it out of committee. Oh, get my bill. It's my bill. You know, my people are depending on me, and I'm going to look like an idiot if I don't get my bill at least voted on. So they always bitching and moaning that, you know, they can't get the bill to the floor. Well, McConnell's like, okay, you filed it. You know, I mean, if you didn't think it was perfect, you shouldn't have filed it the way it was. You should have gone back to the drawing board and made sure it was perfect before you filed it. And then, you know, because I'm calling for a vote. Normally, every senator wants to vote. So him saying, "Oh, I can't believe you're going to vote on it to ruin our movement." Hey, F you in your movement. You know, you're in the Senate. You file a bill. The Senate's job is not about movement. The Senate's job is about passing legislation. So you file a bill, and the guy says, "Okay, we're going to vote on it," and you say, "No, we're not ready." Well, you should have filed the damn thing. Okay, you should have filed the damn thing. And if you file it and somebody wants to vote on it, you should be happy. If you're not happy, well, then you're an idiot. Well, Markey's always been an idiot.
Yep.
You know, and then he gets in bed with Cortez. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, what was that about? Was he just, did he watch that video of her dancing on the roof or something? He got all excited? Did he go through a midlife crisis?
I got to admit, it was not a bad video. It was
the girl's a cute girl. Fine, you know, take her on a date, but don't put her in Congress. And then if she's in Congress, don't follow her. To hell and back because she's cute. I mean, you know, I'm a pretty good looking guy, but you know, if I propose a stupid bill in Congress, I don't expect a bunch of women to go following me and saying, "Oh, well, he's cute." Well, yeah, but the bill is stupid. You know, I mean, these guys. I mean, if Markey's out there thinking with his dick or something, you know, he needs to kind of get over that. I mean, if I was his wife, I'd be saying, "Hey, man, what's up with her?" You know, oh, you've been working late, huh? Helping her write that legislation, huh? Okay, yeah, okay. Probably the same thing she did in college. You know, closing up to the professors. You know, oh, can you help me with my paper? You know, she probably would do that with Markey. Oh, I want to write this bill and I don't know how to do it. Can you help me? You know, and then he goes, okay. You know, like a simp that he is. You know, the guy's like a big simp. You know, and you know what? I guarantee you, all his colleagues are making fun of him because all his colleagues know exactly what that was about. It's like, oh yeah, you're working on that bill with her, huh? Yeah, how's that going? Yeah, they all know what he was doing. But now they're going to vote on it. He probably didn't really read it that much, and he's just all excited because you know she's in love with him now. And well, guess what? He's about to look like the world's biggest idiot. You know, like a moron.
But you know you know what's really weird is look at all the things Cortez has done. She hasn't even been in Congress, you know, half a year. You know, she owes corporate back taxes. She did a campaign violation, giving money to her boyfriend. And then there was that thing where she didn't properly pay people who worked on her staff. You know. And
well, no, she's a young kid. I mean, she's going to do stupid things like that, thinking like, you know, somebody tells her, hey, this will work. It's like if you hired her in your office, she would know how to cut and paste, but she wouldn't know how to create a document. You know, she'd be able to just go cut and paste without knowing what the concepts are or anything else behind it. So somebody says, oh, you can form this LLC and do this and stuff. And she'd probably just sit there nodding her head like, oh, yeah, okay, you know, not knowing a damn thing what they're talking about. And then, well, off she goes. And then, who knows? Maybe they said, this is a good way to hide money. And she's like, yeah, okay. You know, or maybe she's just so stupid, you know, she listened to these people around her. I don't know. But whatever it is, I mean, again, I don't know why people are trusting her opinion or thinking, I mean the media is going after her like she's like, you know, I don't know, the new best thing since Twinkies. But I mean, they did the same thing with Avenatti. Well, how's that working out?
Yeah. Well, you know what it is.
Well, I mean, you saw what happened to Avenatti today, right? You saw what happened to Avenatti today, right?
Yeah, he got arrested. What kind of a moron tries to extort money from Nike? Nike has an army of lawyers that would make Avenatti look like a rookie who got his law degree in night school. You know.
Well, no, I mean that's a big multinational corporation. I mean, those guys are huge. They have a lot of political power. I mean, they're everywhere. You know, I mean, if you're going to pick on somebody, I would have kind of stayed away from them too. It's like going after Bill Gates. It's like Microsoft. It's like, you know, Nike's huge. Yeah, I don't know what that was about. I mean, look, he's entitled to the presumption of innocence, so we'll find out how it shakes out. We'll find out what the deal was, because you know there is a fine line. You know, well, there's a fine line. You always got to be careful. And Dershowitz talked about this when you're trying to settle a case. it's really weird because you're
Mhm.
saying, well, if you don't settle, we're going to go to trial and it's going to look bad. Well, is that extortion?
Mhm.
I don't know. Generally,
Yeah.
now, if I know one
Mhm.
thing, if you say, if you don't settle, we're calling the cops, and
Mhm.
report you to law enforcement. Yeah, you cannot
Mhm.
do that. In fact, if you end up calling the cops, that's
Yeah.
okay if you file the lawsuit and
Mhm.
call the cops, or call the cops and file a lawsuit. But you don't say, well, you better do this or I'm calling the cops. You can call the cops, but you
Yeah.
just can't say you better if then I will. So if he's saying
Yeah.
you better pay me money to keep my mouth shut, or I mean, I don't know all the facts of it, but it sounds, I don't know, sounds kind of screwy. So we'll see.
Well, you know what, Avenatti, the whole thing started when, obviously when they were trying to get Stormy Daniels to, when the Me Too movement was taking off, and they were trying to get Trump on, they were using Stormy Daniels to make Trump look bad, right? And then Avenatti thought he could cash in on his new 15 minutes of fame with the left. Maybe a George Soros will, pick him up and give him money like he does Deborah Katz, or maybe, he could prop up his business or something like that. You know what I mean? By
Right.
saying, "Hey, look, I defied Trump." You know what I mean? And the Trump. And it's funny. I've been seeing the Trump curse is real. Everybody that's gone against Trump has fallen some way or another from grace, in some form or another. You know, I mean,
Well,
if Michael Avenatti,
well, yeah. I mean, every once in a while, like if you're righteous and you're good, it's not a guarantee. But if you're righteous and you're good and you're
yeah,
doing the right thing, and the people are trying to attack you and take you down, you know,
mhm,
sometimes the old man upstairs kind of intervenes and says, this man's a good man. He's trying to do the right thing, and this guy's an asshole, and he's trying to hurt him for his own
mhm,
personal gain, his own ego, and I'm going to protect this guy. I'm going to protect the Trump.
yeah,
I don't know
mhm,
if Trump's a praying man or whatever. Maybe, God, please help me through this. God, please help me through this. Keep these people off me. God's like, yeah, you know what? You fornicated. You fuck around on your wife. You have affairs. But,
yeah,
right now you're trying to do some good stuff for the American people. And okay, I'm
mhm,
going to keep
yeah,
these assholes off your back. And then, gajoom,
yeah,
here comes the hammer.
yeah,
The God of the
oh
Old
yeah,
the God of the Old Testament. Not the New Testament. The guy who
yeah,
tore down the walls of
mhm,
Jericho. The guy who sent
yeah,
Archangel Gabriel to Sodom and Gomorrah and just burned the place down to the
mhm,
ground. That guy.
yeah, mhm,
He's like, yeah, don't worry,
yeah,
I got this one. It's like Jesus. Jesus, like, well, I can through love, and God's like, nah, hey son, I got this one. This is what he needs. I'm gonna zap the shit out of these people. I mean, like the Mueller
yeah,
report. I mean, if that wasn't sweet revenge, I don't know what was.
mhm.
I don't
Well,
look. I'm not
thing,
going to say the
mhm,
hand of God was involved in it, but my guess is there were probably a lot of prayers in the
mhm,
White House saying, God, I didn't do
yeah,
this. I
mhm,
had nothing to do with this. These people are going to try to
yeah,
hang me. Help me, help me, help me. And the old man's looking down. He goes, "Well, I know everything. I know everything that happened, and I know you didn't do anything. So yeah, I got your back on this
yeah.
one. That kind of shit."
I don't blame Trump for weaponizing the Mueller report against the Democrats. Because for how many years they did that? They did it to him during the midterms. You know, so now he can go back and now I
Well,
don't know. It's
I
going to be
know
interesting to see
he's
how he
totally. Well, no, no,
weaponizes
he's
it.
totally allowed to use his report. It's not. I don't even consider weaponizing. He's going to say, "Hey, look, for 2 years, you guys have been calling me every name under the sun: a traitor, treason. I'm in bed with Putin. My kids. You want my kids in
Hmm.
prison. Hey, well, okay. Guess what? All of you were wrong. Here's the effing report. Screw you. I mean, I don't think it's
Hmm.
weaponized. Saying, hey, all those things you're saying about me, they're wrong. And here, look, here's this guy who doesn't like me. I didn't hire him. I fired his best friend, James Comey. Trust me, Mueller had an axe to
Yeah.
grind. I mean, these are the most biased people in
Yeah.
the world. And if the most biased, Weissman, I mean, he was
Hmm.
crying at Hillary's,
Hmm.
glass ceiling party on November 8th for 2016.
Hmm.
So I mean, yeah,
Hmm.
all these guys wanted to take this guy down, take Trump down, and they
Hmm.
couldn't find anything to take him
Yeah.
down with. And they looked. I mean, they
Yeah.
really looked, and they leaned
Hmm.
on Manafort, they leaned on Corsi, they leaned on Papadopoulos, they're leaning on Stone. They were just
Yeah.
trying to lean on everybody to get somebody to fess up and say something, and there was nothing to say
Yeah.
because there was nothing that happened. So
Hmm.
hey, in my opinion, he's not weaponizing his report. He's just saying, hey, f you. You try to shut this government down for
Hmm.
2 years. You try to destroy my family, destroy me, destroy this
Mm-hmm.
country.
Yeah.
Here, read
Mm-hmm.
this. I
Yeah.
mean, a bunch of assholes. Sorry, man, just
Yeah.
assholes.
Yeah.
They didn't give a shit about
Look
the.
what they did
I
to
mean,
Roger Stone.
well,
Yeah.
well, even screw Roger Stone. Look what they did to the American people. I mean, look, this economy is going really good right now. But think about how much better it could be going right now if Trump wasn't having to always look over his shoulder. I'm sorry. He said,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm working," but don't tell. This was a
Mm-hmm.
distraction. This was a
Yeah.
distraction. This man had this think. He was thinking about this every day. Then they sent him the
Mm-hmm.
interrogatory questions. Then they're going after his son. Then they're going after his daughter. Then they're going
Yeah.
after his son-in-law. This was on his mind
Yeah.
all the time, every day. He couldn't even hold a meeting with a foreign leader without people popping off stupid questions.
Mm-hmm.
He's over in North Korea. Okay, trying.
Mm-hmm.
In Vietnam, trying to negotiate with the North Korean leader about nuclear missiles, something that's a little bit kind of important.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some asshole yelling out questions about Michael Cohen because he was testifying in front of Congress, and the Democrats were no help.
Yeah.
They couldn't wait till next week
Mm-hmm.
to do the Cohen testimony. They had to do the day he's overseas, trying to negotiate a nuclear weapons deal with arms
Mm-hmm.
treaty with North Korea, and they got this freaking Cohen testimony going on that same stupid day. What a bunch of
Yeah.
assholes. I think it was Nadler, wasn't it? And that or Schiff. I think it was
Yeah.
Nadler's. I think it was Nadler's
Might have
committee.
been.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
It was either Schiff's
But,
committee or Nadler's committee. One of those two assholes. They don't care about the American people. They don't care about the working class
Okay.
America. They don't care about middle class.
Yeah.
How many jobs were
Yeah.
not created because these assholes were doing this shit? Every one job
Yeah.
that wasn't created, it's one
Yeah.
family's got to worry about how they're going to make the rent, how they're going to pay the mortgage, whether they got to
Yeah.
pick up and move.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit.
Mhm.
No. Screw them.
No.
So he wants to
And
throw the
again,
report, shove the report up their
Mhm.
ass, I hope.
Yeah. Well, again, it's the stranglehold these globalists have on these Democrats. And also, you got the Federal Reserve who would love nothing more than to raise interest rates through the roof to crash the economy. And I think the fact, I don't know, I don't really know what's, they're trying to ease interest. I think they've talked about, raising interest rates here and there, but they would, that's another thing Trump has to contend with is the fact that the Federal Reserve wants to raise interest rates to the point where, people aren't going to be able to get a loan.
Well, actually, if you saw the latest stories in Wall Street Journal, the Fed is actually be holding off now because which is good. Now they think there's some kind of a global thing going on as far as what's going on in China and stuff. There's like a little slowdown globally, so they're kind of holding off on raising interest rates right now because their normal rule of thumb is if inflation goes above 2%, they raise interest rates. They raised it 4 times in 2018 on Trump, and because inflation was going up. But I always thought if you're going to do that to try to halt inflation, because inflation's bad. Okay, inflation's really bad. It hurts everybody. It hurts elder people on fixed incomes really bad. So, but I say, set the line at 4.5%, 4.7%. Set the line there. Give the economy a chance to move a little bit. Supply demand. Inflation is prices are going up. Okay, prices are going up because more people demanding stuff than you have supply for. But in order for these suppliers to build more stuff to meet demand, they got to borrow money. Well, if you start raising interest rates at that moment, it makes the cost of money more, which means the cost of goods more, which increases inflation even more. Because demand is staying. If demand stays constant, and then it costs more to make that stuff to meet that demand, then the price even goes up more, then inflation even goes up higher. But if you set it like around 4.5, that gives a chance for this, for good people to get into that trade, into that business, make those products, and then the idiots who didn't get in quick enough, well, they got to pay more money. Well, they're suckers, tough shit. That's capitalism. Have a nice day. But that 2%, things just start moving when you get 2% inflation rate. And then you zap, and then you try to slow it down by raising interest rates. I think that's a terrible policy. But you know where that came out of, though, right? You know where that came out of, that policy, right? Jimmy Carter era. Inflation went to what? 18% inflation. I forgot what it went to. Went really high.
Yeah.
Interest rates were at 19. Inflation was can't remember. It was really freaking high, and the Fed kept raising interest rates to slow down inflation, and nothing worked. So they waited too long to start raising interest rates to slow the economy down, slow prices down.
Yeah.
You had the oil embargo at the same time, but the Fed got scared, and so after that they usually after 2% inflation they start raising rates. But right now they said
Yeah,
they
'cause
just
1980.
they just said
Mhm.
they're gonna hold off on raising interest rates anytime soon because they
Mhm.
fear a global slowdown. So that's good news actually.
Yeah.
I mean the global slowdown is
Yeah.
not good news,
Yeah.
but not raising interest rates is good news.
Yeah. Maybe Trump kind of reeled them in a little bit, you know, thankfully for that, you know what I mean? Because, you know, the Fed is the 1%, and I don't trust the Fed for as far as I could throw them, you know?
Well, there's two
I
empty
mean, they,
spots.
you know,
There's two empty spots in the Fed, and one of the guys from the Washington Times is going to get nominated. He's one of the reporters. He's one of the writers for the Washington Times. I can't remember his name. Kind of a dorky kind of
mhm,
guy. I've seen him a lot of. He does a lot of like Fox Business Channel, CNBC stuff,
mhm,
and I can't remember. God, I can't remember his name. I read it last week in the
mhm.
Washington Times. One of their people are going to go over to the Fed.
Yeah, but do they have? But the question is, like, do they have connections to Soros or any of these? You know, that's the thing that people got to kind of, you know,
I
hopefully
have no
they
idea.
vetted him. You
I
know,
have no
but
idea. No idea.
yeah, I'm sorry, I look very deep into this. You know, it's like, you know, but I mean, you know, because you know, you know, you know, the economy is firing on all 8 cylinders, you know, 10 cylinders, you know, four, however you want to call it, you know. But you know, they, I mean, and then you have these, you know, obviously, you know, the Democrats want to repeal every, you know, $800 cell phone, $600 cell phone, you know, $35,000 car, you know, on a, you know, on their new job, which is fine. You know, they're working for it. Let them spend their money on what they want, you know. But you would think that they would at least have an appreciation for why they can get these things. You know, I mean, we have, you know, cell phones. I think they had, you know, remember those old big brick phones. That was the closest thing you had to a cell phone. You know, I think cell phones started becoming more affordable. What, in about 1999, I think, or you know, people with, you know, at least the upper middle class could afford them a little bit. You know. And then, you know, as more people got them, it made them more cost effective, and people were able to have access to them. And eventually now, cell phones have replaced the landlines. I mean, I don't know a single person who uses a landline anymore.
No,
You
no,
know,
I don't know anybody who uses a
but
landline. I tell you what, though,
but
I'm gonna let you go because Republic Texas RN was calling in, and I told her I'd give her a call back in about
oh
like 20
oh
minutes.
God, I'm sorry. Okay,
No,
my
no,
bad,
what are you
Carl.
sorry
Hey, but
about?
hey,
No, 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 stop it. Don't be sorry. No, it's
mm-hmm,
just that
mm-hmm,
she called in, and I told her I don't know about 20 minutes ago I'd call her back after you and I were finished. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go and
mm-hmm,
give her a call.
mm-hmm,
I just checked to see if she was still in there. But I'm going to go and give her a call and
mm-hmm.
see what she's been. I haven't talked to her like in gazillions of years. But yeah, she changed her name to the Republic Tea Room USA, Texas.
Oh wow, okay. I have to give her a shout out. I didn't recognize who that was, because I thought maybe they had known me from another channel or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Because you know
definitely.
I'm pretty famous. You know
You
I'm
are.
famous. I brought.
You're a famous guy, man. You're the great douchebag.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Gator never been about that. I gave him a shout out on another live stream that we were on earlier. You know,
Yeah,
like,
no,
hey, you
he
know,
said yeah, he said you brought him over here, so that was cool. Thanks, I appreciate it,
oh
man.
yeah, yeah,
Totally
oh yeah.
appreciate it.
You're welcome, Carl. Have a good weekend, and I'll look forward to talking to you on your next show.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Take care.
All right, that was the great douchebag, and gonna give a phone call here to Texas RN. Let's see, also known as the. Let's see how we do this. I'm just trying to remember contacts. Well, it should just go right to. Here we go. Boom. There we go. All right. Is this Texas? Is
Hello.
this the Republic Tea Room USA Texas, also formerly known as
Yes, it's
Texas
the
RN?
Republic Tea Room. And for the first thing on my mind, hey, douche, I always, you know, like your comments and stuff. And Trump parody guy really admires you, and I told him about you. Anyway, hey, Carl, and hey, Patriots, everybody in the chat.
Hey, how you been?
Yeah.
I haven't talked to you. I haven't talked to you forever.
It's been a long time, Carl. I've been working night. You know, I do kind of like agency work right now, so they send me other places. I've been working night shift and have had been going to some different hospitals. But first, I couldn't find a pen, so I wrote everything down in lipstick. But anyway, I know. So, but I did want to say this. Let me see. Where do I want to start first? Oh, dang it! It's all.
Hey, you could have appeared by a live video call. You see what I wrote to you? I said, if you have the guts.
Actually, you know what? I don't have a television since 2013. I don't have a computer. I only use a cell phone.
Oh no! Do you have a camera on your cell phone?
I do.
Oh, do you have email on your cell phone?
I do, but
all you do. Okay. You don't have to do it right now, but I'll tell you for the future.
Okay.
Okay. If you have an email on your phone, what you do, you send me an email, right? To it says ca2jogger@gmail.com. You send me an email.
Uh-huh.
You send me an email. I reply back to you with a link. You then touch the link with your finger, dunk, and then I've done this with my own phone here to test it out at different times. And you touch it, bang, with your finger, and then next thing you know, you see yourself in a little camera, and then next thing you know, you see me in a camera, and the next thing you know, I put you on air, and we're side by side like they do on CNN.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Nonya Business did it a couple of times. She tried doing it the other night, but I switched my audio system around, and I forgot to make one different change to it, and so I could hear her. Everybody could hear her.
Yeah.
They could hear me, but Nonya could not hear me through the phone. So I had to go back and fix that, and because I said I switched an audio system around, and I didn't take into account about putting the audio back to where she was. But I fixed it, so it worked. So next time you shoot an email. You let me know in the chat. I sent you an email, so then I check my email, and then I shoot you the link. I reply to your email, shoot your link. You tap on it with your phone. And then you're on. And then it'll say a little box, and it'll say type in your username. So you type in Texas Republic, whatever, blah blah blah, and then you hit. Then you push join call, and you're in. Done. It's that simple.
Cool.
Yeah, and like you see
I would
people.
like to do that next time.
Like you see people use Google Hangouts for that and stuff. It's just the quality though.
I've heard people say, "Well, I'll send you a link," and then they'll get some link. But I want to do that next time.
Yeah, and the quality.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, the quality with the vMix is much better than the Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts is kind of old tech. It's kind of old technology. So yeah, it's even better than that. So, but yeah, next time we'll definitely have to do that. So, but tell me though, so you were in your University of Houston in Strake Jesuit today, huh?
Yeah. My agency where I pick up my check where I turn in my timesheet is in Southwest Houston. I used to also have a house over in Sharpstown, so I was over there, and then so probably about 2 blocks away. And so I was over also today by U of H, passed right by it, and the campus looks great. You wouldn't recognize it, Carl.
Well, I liked it when I was there in the 80s with all the trees and stuff. They didn't knock down all the trees and put a bunch of new buildings up.
Oh my God! Well, I tell you, my cousin graduated from there too. And she graduated probably in like the 80s, I think mid-80s.
Right, yeah. So, I was there in the mid-80s also.
I went on the campus.
I was there in the mid-80s. Well, I was there 83, 84, 84, 85, and then we moved to Southern California. But I was there for like 83 through 85. But it was beautiful then.
She was there, I think, at that time. I think, Kim was there. And I had a lot of friends. My cousin's older than me, so she was there. But we went there to get her transcript about maybe 2007, 2006, and they started doing some more, building and just kind of putting a lot of the red and white everywhere. And then now it's like it's amazing because the train goes by there now.
Oh, really? They have like a metro link to get people in and out of downtown and stuff.
Yes, they added that one that goes by U of H, and which is Scott Street. They added that later, but the first one we had was, of course, the medical center, and which went downtown all the way to the Astrodome.
Oh wow! Okay.
So, yeah. Like stadium to stadium, because we have Reliance Stadium, which is it's downtown.
Right, it's where the Texans play, right? Yeah.
Wait a minute, do they play there now? No. Oh, actually, it's where the basketball where they play and baseball.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, where do the Houston Texans play?
I've never even been to a game, but I said the Texans play at it's right by the Astrodome. I don't know if they tore the Astrodome down.
Oh wait, hold it. Yes, I remember. I remember seeing like a blimp shot.
They built it right by it.
Yeah, they had like a drone flying overhead, and they showed it's in the same area with. And it was funny because I always thought the Astrodome was really big, and then they showed a shot of the new football stadium next to the Astrodome, and I'm like, man, that thing's little.
Right, and and they said the Astrodome was it true? It was the first air conditioned stadium. Is that true? I'm not sure. That's on that.
Let's see. Oh wait, I just got a good piece of advice from somebody. I think let's see. Similar to how he does when somebody does call, he puts the name up there. He would stop troll calls or halt them quite a bit. Oh, I could. Actually, I do that for the Gator. Yeah, I do that for the video calls. I'll put the name right above the person's camera shot. But that is good advice. That is good advice. Yeah, we get oh, you missed it about 2 weeks ago. We got like all these trolls came in at once, and it was funny.
Wow.
They came in on the chat room, right? So anyway, I have a zero tolerance policy on my chat room for the moderators. I always tell the moderators, when in doubt, just take them out, and if you make a mistake, I'm not going to hold it against you. Just zap them. So anyway, so all these trolls came in the chat room, and I said, okay, guys, let's see who can get the most. And it was great. It was like shooting fish in a barrel, literally, because they're like right in the chat, and you could just zap them. So anyway, who was on with me? Amy was on, GT was on. Amy D got the second most. I got the most. I was the fastest, but I've had a lot of experience with that. So, but yeah, it was a lot. You missed it. It was a lot of fun. We all got to zap all these trolls off. Zap, 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 zap.
Wow! Oh my God! It's like playing Centipede.
Yeah, it was because you just kept moving your cursor up to the side and going click.
Yeah.
So somebody timed them out, and I said, don't time them out, just hide them, just 86 them. Like, do the hide user right. Yeah. So we were just zapping them all off. It was kind of funny.
Zap them with bias and extreme prejudice.
Exactly. Yeah. So hey, what did you? I didn't mean to get off topic with you, but what did you?
No, that's okay. Yeah, I always feel comfortable calling when I'm able to. Well, anyway, let's see. I have to write stuff down because I'll get all lost in and everything, get a little tangential, but that's okay. So I was thinking about immigration. You mentioned immigration, and a lot of people don't realize that, Barbara Jordan, remember her? She was from Houston, Fifth Ward. She was, I think, the first Black person admitted to the Texas Senate. Anyway,
what's her name? What's her name again? I'm sorry.
Barbara Jordan.
Oh, yeah. Barbara Jordan, yeah.
Yeah. And I think she was in one of Trump's, she's been deceased for a long time. And Trump used her, what she said about immigration a long time ago. And of course, they hide this. She was a Democrat, but the Democrats hid this. Barbara Jordan, please look it up, or I'll send it to you. She was when it came to immigration, she was so eloquent. I love the way she spoke. She went to Texas Southern University, right across from U of H. And she was, of course, she was in drama and taught by that Professor Thomas. I think he was teaching it like 50-something years. He taught at TSU, taught drama, and he was also, Hollywood used him for The Great Debaters as a person who, as a guest to, those people who they come to for advice for movies.
Oh, yeah, right. They like consultants and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, consultant. Yeah, a consultant. Well, anyway, I just admired the way she spoke, but she thought that immigration should be kind of so strict that it's not just legal. She was even thinking that legal should be there should be a little halt on some legal, and that people who came in, she thought that some of them should at least have a bachelor's degree. She thought that would add to our economy, because we were taking in a lot of people who were just we were basically ended up taking care of, and they would end up basically, when they're voting Democrat, they're voting against their own interests.
Right.
Really. Yeah. So, but anyway, Barbara Jordan did that. So, let's see, I probably
Well,
have
yeah,
more to say about
because
it, but I can't do it.
like like in the 1800s and early 1900s, we needed a lot of unskilled
Yeah.
labor. We were expanding the country, we
Yes,
were building the country. You need a lot of unskilled labor, and even through the 50s and
right.
say 60s, you need a lot of factory workers and stuff like that. But now a lot of
Mm-hmm.
even the factory jobs are like high tech, and you got to have at least one. You got to be able to speak English to to be able to handle that kind of a job.
Right,
And then two, you
right.
probably need a minimum high school degree, maybe some community college or at least some training sessions that you're capable of learning. So we don't need the large number of unskilled immigrants anymore. And not to mention, since everybody's pushing that minimum wage to go to $15 an hour, it's getting close, not yet,
It
but
lost jobs, and it looks like it would lose jobs. Just like Whole Foods was laying people off, and they do that on purpose. They know that raising the minimum wage is going to also it's going to cut jobs. That's
Right.
what it's when anything that I know that the Democrats are doing, it's disgustingly brilliant and diabolical. So they know the outcome of it, and other people don't. They just get excited thinking $15 an hour, but entry level jobs weren't meant for you to live on. They were. It's just what it says: entry level, getting you prepared for the workforce. It wasn't meant for you to raise a family on.
Well, no, right. No, it wasn't. Minimum wage is to kind of, it's a starter job. You kind of start there. I mean, if you want to work, if you want to work your way up to the company, that's good too. But it's something you just kind of use to kind of maybe save a few bucks up and then move on to the next thing. Maybe go to school at the same time. Get a degree, get some, or go to a trade school or something just to get some skills. But you can still, live and eat and pay some rent, some cheap place. But yeah, it wasn't meant for you to be on forever. No.
Yeah, when I was in college, I went to Prairie View, the HBCU. But anyway, I went to Prairie View, and when I was in college, I took a job at a learner in Galleria. I made like $4.35 an hour, but it was, I guess to me that was a lot. But anyway, I had another. Let me see, okay, Carl. This is what discussing. Let me see what did I write down? Okay, why are, when you see the news now, they're all asking for an explanation from Barr, and they want to sit him down and question him. Carl, I have a question, and I don't know why no one's saying the obvious, because I'm about sick of it. That's what made me call in. I was so mad. I mean, first I wanted to talk to you guys, but I'm saying, I was like, oh my God, Carl's on. I saw you on. I just needed to vent this. Why are we asking people to explain something that was based on a lie?
Well, that's a good point, because in other words, okay, look,
I mean,
right. In
why?
other words,
Why?
in other words, okay. So they're asking Barr to explain. Well, they're probably asking Barr more to explain the obstruction thing. So, and Barr made a good point in there. Said, look, okay, in order to find obstruction, the biggest thing we got to find beyond a reasonable doubt is a contempt, a corrupt intent. Okay, and so even though he goes, look, it's not definitive, but the very fact that it's hard to, why is somebody trying to obstruct an investigation of something he didn't do? In other words, the underlying crime that he, quote unquote, the investigation he was trying to obstruct, allegedly, was the investigation into Russia-Trump collusion. And if there was if there was no Russia-Trump collusion, then it's hard to prove corrupt intent, because he knows that whatever investigation they're going to do is going to go nowhere because there's nothing to find. So if he was
a
clear,
lie.
yeah, well, the whole thing was a lie.
There was no, it was the word predicate something. I mean, it was, they lied to even be able to investigate.
They lie about what?
Right?
What do you mean they lie about?
And there was never a reason for them to be able to. I mean, the whole document.
Oh no, there wasn't. Yeah.
Lie.
Oh no, I totally agree. There wasn't. In other words, look, and I was talking about this earlier. When Bruce Orr brought that to, okay, first of all, like, okay, Fusion GPS and Steele is trying to, peddle this to all the networks, CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post. Nobody's taking it. They say this is crazy. Look, because they all looked at him and said, look, we know this is opposition research. We know who you guys work for. We checked you out. We know you work for the Clinton campaign. You're not going to use us to put a story out there to make it look like it's a real story. You want to do it, tell you what, run a campaign ad. You got plenty of money. Run a campaign ad with all this nonsense. Have a nice day. Because you're not going to use us that way, because even though they hated Trump and they wanted Clinton to win and they were in the bag for Clinton, they weren't going to go that far. That was a bridge too far for the mainstream media. So it didn't work there. So the next thing you know, Nellie Orr works at Fusion GPS. She's actually working on this whole dossier thing for Op Research, which is, Op Research doesn't have to be true. It just has to be something close to being true or a good inference to use to put it out there and make the candidate play defense, the opposition candidate to play defense now. So it doesn't have to be necessarily true. But anyway, so then Nellie gives it to her husband, Bruce, or Steele gives it to Bruce. They set up a contact with his wife, and then he walks into McCabe's office, and he goes, hey, I got this from, like, my wife who works at Fusion, but I'm telling you right now, I didn't look at it. I didn't vet it. They didn't vet it. Nobody's vetted this thing. So be really careful with this. This is just kind of out there. And Lisa Page confirms that Orr told McCabe this. Hey, look, I'm not saying this thing's true and nobody checked it out. You might want to please check it out before you think about using it for anything. Well, McCabe says, thanks for the meeting. Have a nice day. And McCabe left that meeting out of his book. He just did that book tour. He left that meeting with him and Lisa Page out of his book. And for good reason. Because here's Orr saying, hey, this is like, I'm giving it to you, but I don't trust it. And so McCabe then says, okay, don't worry, we got it from here. And then he goes, and next thing you know, he's talking to his friends, and they say, oh, look at this. And boom, they don't vet it, they don't confirm it. And when you file a request for a warrant to a judge, it's done ex parte. The other side obviously is not there to say, hey, well, look at this issue. So it's incumbent upon you that you have to present all the good points and bad points as to why you need this warrant. All the good points, the factual basis, and where your weak points are. You have to tell the judge, hey, look, this is what we got. Like, what they should have done was like, okay, we got this. We got it from, we got it from Bruce Orr. You know Bruce Orr. Oh yeah, I know Bruce. I've known Bruce for years. Well, anyway, he gave it to us, but he said he got it from his wife. His wife is working for opposition research for the Clinton campaign, who's running against Trump. The judge was like, whoa, oh, thanks for telling me that. Okay, let's take a look what you got. So they look at it, they go, did you verify any of this? No. You check that out? No. You check that out? No. It's like, well, you know what? I can't grant this warrant, man. Go back and find something, but I'm out of here. But they didn't do that. They buried the information about it. They said, we speculate. Well, they knew for sure where it came from, but they wrote in there, they lied on the warrant. They said, we speculate it came from candidate A doing research to try to get dirt on candidate B. But they put it in a footnote. Now, it sounds like they didn't even have a hearing on this anyway, so they just turn it in. It's a footnote. If you want to bury something, stick it in a footnote. And the judge, either the judge saw it or didn't see it, didn't ask any questions about it. Generally just they generally rubber stamp these things because it's a FISA court. Well,
they intended to deceive. So the thing is, I hate that the judge didn't look at it. Wasn't it the judge? Maybe they weren't trying to. They weren't anti-Trump. Who knows? But they put it in a footnote to deceive.
Well, yeah. When they said we speculate that it came from a candidate A. They weren't they knew where it came from because Orr told them exactly where it came from. Look, Orr didn't want to get disbarred. He's not going to go and lie to these guys. He's an attorney. So he told them, hey, look, I got this from my wife who's working for Fusion GPS, who was hired by the Clinton campaign to get op research. So he told them straight up. So when they signed that first FISA warrant, they said, we speculate it came from a candidate. No, they were lying because they knew Orr told them exactly where it came from. He said, it came from my wife who's working over at Fusion. Okay, who's working for the Clinton campaign? They're contractors for the Clinton campaign. So they knew. So when they put that, even when they put it in the footnote, they lied in the footnote.
Oh.
Yeah. So they. But if
well,
they. Go ahead.
Carl, they say that I guess that dossier what started this, because that's what started it, right? The dossier.
Right. Exactly.
And what was actually, made up, kind of you just could fill in some blanks, like years ago, like 2007 or something, that it was just kind of I guess someone just thought that was kind of disgusting enough to frame someone, but that's something that's old, it's something that's been around, and they just kind of just used it.
Well, yeah, because in other words, opposition research doesn't have to be, it's not like a counterintel, like, okay, Steele used to work for MI6, but he wasn't working for MI6 when he did this. In other words, it wasn't some British spy agency putting all this together and checking things out and doing a lot of big research. I mean, this guy never went to Moscow to confirm any of this. He never went to Prague to confirm that Cohen was in Prague. He never, in fact, he admitted in his deposition, because he's being sued for libel in England, he admitted under oath at his depo that some of the information he put in that dossier came from like a CNN chat room where people were writing in bad stuff about Trump. Because it was a CNN, it was a CNN chat room. So he admitted that. He said that's where he got some of his material. So in other words, like
Wow.
the op research is like the Swift boat thing, like they used against John Kerry. Doesn't have to be exactly true, just enough kind of an inference to make an inference to make an inference, and then you stick it out there, and then you force the other candidate to play defense by saying, like, I'm not a witch. Like, you're a witch. No, I'm not. I'm not a witch.
Yeah, you're stabbing in the dark. You're defending yourself against something that the fact that you even have to defend yourself,
right?
You could even look unbelievable trying to defend yourself against a lie.
Exactly.
Because just like, a lie never happened. So, you look almost confused, discombobulated, trying to defend yourself against something that's not true because it's so absurd. That really is disgusting.
Well, no, it is. And what's even more disgusting is the media, the mainstream media like MSNBC and CNN. Like, I get caught watching MSNBC once in a while, but they don't discuss any of this. They don't discuss any of the facts of this, and they just repeat the same talking points over and over again. They never deep dive into it, and they never inform their viewers of it. A lot of their viewers, I guarantee you, a lot of their viewers, in fact, some were writing on tweets, were shocked that Trump was cleared on this collusion thing. They were shocked.
Carl,
because
that's
for
what
2
I wanted
years
to say to you too, and I wanted to say that. Remind me to tell you to say that, and I'll go to the other stuff later. Well, actually, let me attack that now. That's why I think it's especially cruel, because the messaging. They were just vicious, cruel, and they lie with impunity. It's like I think almost they get a pleasure out of their lies, and every one of them they're lying. But anyway, I was, sometimes I don't go to the chans, but I follow the videos of people who do. So they said that a lot of the reporters, these anchor people, were given money basically by Clinton, I guess the foundation of Clinton, to to basically give a narrative, a fake narrative. So they're also on the line too, because the way these people came at President Trump, he was right when he said a lot of people wouldn't have been able to withstand this. And that is so true.
Yeah.
Most people couldn't have gone through something like this. They go nuts. But the thing is, when you look back at his old old things, videos or interviews, he's been saying some of the same things, and it's pretty impressive. I know a lot of people won't dare look, but what I think something that Carl, you said a long time ago, I think you said this in Access Chat one time when we were talking about identity politics, and you said, well, I understand that, but you said when it comes to Black people, you said there's so much of 90% or so voting this way. You were like, I can understand why we apply that in a way. When I say apply, I don't mean that. In other words, it's no one else, no other group is voting this way. And I've been thinking about that for a long time. I certainly understand what he means, because it's starting to eat them up. And I would like to see the kind of the cut off the switch, and for every one of us to start seeing ourselves as American. I did a video. I don't know if you've heard my 14th Amendment video.
No. Which video did you do?
Oh, my God. I have a channel. Click on me and listen to my video.
Well, are you under Texas RN or the Republic?
No, under Republic.
Oh, wow.
I just changed the name, so I did a vid.
Okay, well, let me. I'll tell you what. Let me write that down. So, well, I don't write it down. I know your name now.
Yeah.
So the text. Okay, what video did you do?
It's just if you click on me and look under I have a video. Just I guess click on me and it probably will say playlist or something. But it's on the 14th Amendment, and it is really good, and how Trump did the birthright citizenship, how he wanted to I guess abolish that. Would that be the word?
Well, no, he wanted to amend it. Well, no, not really amend it. Well, let's see. Did he want to amend it? He probably wanted the clarification, and the Supreme Court probably needs to look at it, where it says, hey, the 14th Amendment was for freed slaves and their offspring. That was the intent of it.
Yes.
And in fact, the committees in the Senate There were questioned about that. Well, is this going to allow foreigners to be able to come here, give birth to a baby, and the baby's a citizen? And all the committee people said no at the time. All the legislative history said no at the time. So he's on good ground. If this ends up in front of the Supreme Court, I think with the conservatives who are going to look at original intent of the legislature, I think they're going to win. You know? Yeah,
well, because like I said, I don't know. Look, I don't know how anyone else feels about this, but I do. I won't even go into because I say that they, I follow Q, but they discussed that as the October surprise. And anyway, just listen to the video, and you'll be. I mean, it was my first video, so I wanted to discuss that. But anyway, it's kind of like I said, I really. I didn't know anything about the 14th Amendment.
So you did a lot of research on it, and you looked it up and stuff, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and I did research, and I started, researching, and I did my video like 10 minutes. So yeah, it was kind of cool.
Nice. So you did it to YouTube. You uploaded. You did the recording on YouTube.
So I have a YouTube video. I recorded it and then let it upload to the site.
Wow. Okay. So like you just
So I can't please listen to it tonight because I really would appreciate your opinion on it.
Okay.
Carl's opinion on it.
There you go. Let me see. Hold on. Republic T. I gotta remember that. You got such a damn long name now. It's like I like Texas RN. That was easy to remember.
I know, but I changed it because I was like, okay, Carl, you mentioned something about a senatorial. What did you say? Representative democracy? Is that the same thing as a constitutional republic?
Yeah, I mean we're representative democracy. In other words, we don't every issue that comes up, we don't have 330 million people clicking in on the internet to vote on an issue. We're representative democracy. We're not a straight democracy. Straight democracy means we all vote on every issue. Okay, like a referendum, like a lot of states have referendums and stuff like that. That's straight democracy. We're not that. We elect representatives to go and represent us, and then vote.
Yeah.
Hopefully vote the way we want them to vote, or vote close to the way we want them to vote on issues as they come up. So yeah, so we're representative democracy, known as a republic, constitutional republic, that kind of thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you are pro-constitution?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I like it. It works really good.
Okay. Okay. So, so that's why I was like, the Republic, Tea Room Plus, I live in Texas, and West Columbia, Texas, not Austin, was the first capital of the Republic of Texas. So I'm kind of in the, tea room, and tea means information these days. So that's why I named myself something else.
Oh, okay. It's just that Texas RN.
Yeah,
in fact, the great douchebag didn't even know who you were. I said, "Oh, look who's in here."
I know. And I love great douche. I wish I had a riddle for him, like Texas RN naming herself something else is like, he's so funny.
Right,
he's
right.
Awesome.
Yeah, Ocasio-Cortez is like, looking for this and this.
I love him. Okay. About let me see. I think I said Ocasio-Cortez. Oh wait, before I go to that, Carl, why? Okay, today when they were mentioning about this quote kept going all over. No American was guilty of collusion. You see, to me that was slick. And these days, I've been really kind of poking my ears out, looking for. I see a lot of the manipulation in media. I see it more and more and more. But when they said no American was guilty of collusion, okay, that means it clears these Democrats who clearly were, and some of the Republicans.
Well, no,
colluding with Russia.
Well, no, he said no American. Well, they said no Americans. I mean Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, but colluding, but Hillary's
actually,
uranium and the.
Well, no. Actually, what Mueller said, he didn't say. I'm not okay. I think people have editorialized after that, meaning that.
Yes. That they have. What did it really say?
Well, hold on. I got it. I actually have it right here. I don't know why I was guessing.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me see here.
No American. I'm thinking that's not the other side, though. Like Trump says, okay, now we need to look at the other side. Because it made it seem like, I felt like Mueller was kind of throwing them a bone.
Wait, hold on. Let me see here.
Right.
Let's see.
I just thought it was more kind of slick talk.
Let's see. How can I do this? I'm trying to remember. I brought it up on. Let's see. I think I had it. Let's see. I'm trying to remember where I had it because I have it right here in front of me, but I don't. I'm pretty sure I had it somewhere else also. Let's see.
Well, take a look at it whenever you get a chance. You don't have to look at it right now.
Oh, but no, I mean I was going to pull it up for you and for everybody else because I got the whole report. I got the 4 pages right here.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Carl. Let's see. Trying to see how I can do this the best. Let's see.
Hey, everybody. I hope Patriots. Hope you don't think I'm boring. I can't see the comments. I can't go to the chat on my phone.
Okay, now I can't do it this way. So okay, so I'm just going to not do it that way. All right. Okay, but anyway, I have it right here in my hand, so I'll read to you what he says here. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's see. Russian interference. All right. Let's see. First part. Let's see. The report explains. Okay. He does mention Americans. I'm sorry. Okay. The report,
no Americans.
Okay, right. The report outlines the Russian effort to influence the election and documents crimes committed by persons associated with the Russian government in connection with those efforts. The report further explains that a primary consideration for the special counsel's investigation was whether any Americans, including individuals associated with the Trump campaign, joined the Russian conspiracies to influence the election, which would be a federal crime. The special counsel's investigation did not find that the Trump campaign or anyone associated with it conspired or coordinated with Russia in its efforts to influence the 2016 U.S. presidential election. As the report states, he quotes it, the investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities. And he defines what that means in a footnote.
Well, but they changed it. But when they're reporting it, I want you to listen. What they've done is that no Americans conspired, and no Americans they said no Americans. They didn't say with the Trump campaign. That's how they flipped it. So whenever someone's only watching CNN or MSNBC, all they're hearing is no Americans. So that means Democrats too. They're still lying. They're still misleading.
Oh yeah. Oh, totally. Because the report. Okay, now Barr states in the beginning. He says, let's see. The report further explains that a primary consideration for the special counsel's investigation was whether any Americans, including individuals associated with the Trump campaign, joined the Russian conspiracies. But then he goes on to say, Barr never says Mueller said no Americans. He says Mueller says that the special counsel's investigation did not find that the Trump campaign or anyone associated with it conspired or coordinated with Russia in its efforts to influence the 2016 election. No one did not establish members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government. So he doesn't. Now Mueller might have written in his report, it's like 600 pages, that no Americans did. But the only thing that Barr is reporting on that Mueller said was just talking about not Americans, but just talking about the Trump campaign people. So that's huge. I mean right. You could have like full stop right there at that point. I mean that says, hey, it never happened.
Yeah, I'd say, but exactly. That's what. It's just so sad that it made it look like no Americans, which is why again I'm glad Trump was like, now we need to look at the other side. And yeah. Anyway, so okay. Oh, Avenatti. Avenatti was the one who, I was surprised that Avenatti, with everything he's done lately, was even able to represent anyone, regarding the R. Kelly stuff. And now this has come out on him.
Yeah, well,
driving, I guess, is threatening Nike.
Yeah, he was trying to extort money from Nike, saying, now I don't know the full facts of it. I hate judging legal cases based on what the news says about them. Because that's what I do for a living. I mean, I'm a lawyer. So I really hate.
He's just such a jerk. I think he's he's the guy you love to hate. He was so arrogant.
I know, but I can't judge a legal case by just what people are reporting in the news. It's like we just went through this 2 seconds ago when the report, the legal, like I was listening, Sunday when this came out, the news guy was talking about it, and I just said, you know what, the hell with this. I'm just going to go download it and read it for myself because I don't want to trust what this idiot's telling me. So, I mean, just 2 seconds ago, we already showed where the news media says, oh, Barr said that Mueller said no Americans were involved. No, Barr did not say that. Barr wrote specifically, he didn't say no Americans. He said nobody from the Trump campaign or anybody associated with the Trump campaign. So the thing with Avenatti, I don't know how true it is. I don't know how false it is. I don't know what the deal is. I have no idea. Just because you get indicted, doesn't mean that you're going to be found guilty. I mean, a lot of people get indicted and never get found guilty. So I mean, you know,
indicted becomes such a nasty word. And you know what?
Yeah.
This leads me to what I wanted to also say about AOC. Cortez. My thing is when they're talking about her, whatever taxes she owes, and it was like some $2,000 or $3,000 or something. My thing is this.
Well, that's kind of a small.
If you're going to report someone on a call, get it something good. I hate when they make up something is so small. You know, she's.
Wait. You mean you mean all of that mess is just over about $2,000 or $3,000? That's it.
Right, her business or her company. Forget about that. I mean, there's people there's more stuff than that, but get the deeper stuff. Find out what Sink and whoever this her. I guess what do you call it? They were auditioning because I heard that it was not only her, but it was also, I don't know if this is true. I didn't look it up, but I heard this on one of the YouTube videos that it was also Talib and then that black lady. That those three were actually chosen, and then they auditioned and they're now in Congress.
Oh, but they were part of some acting thing and.
Yeah,
they were chosen to run just because.
It wasn't just her, but the other two also. That's what I heard.
Huh. Well, yeah, I don't. Again, I try not to buy into conspiracy theories.
Right.
Again, we just went through we just went through 2 years of a conspiracy theory that turned out to be a big hoax. The Trump Russia thing.
But I tell you. Hmm?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but no, you go ahead, Carl. I was just saying that they.
Anytime
I heard it was the two of them.
No, I mean, look, some people like to really get into this, until I can see something that's true, just people making. Look, this whole Trump thing started with literally making shit up or plagiarizing from other people who were making shit up on CNN chat rooms. So. So there are some people out there who just put some story up there. Oh, she was like an actress, and they chose her, and whatever. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. I mean, but until I can see some proof of that, I'm not gonna run with it.
Yeah, get her on something hardcore because it's like it's too easy to say when she owes whatever the amount of money was. I'm thinking, okay, please, it's like, don't report anything measly on her. If you're going to get her, you got to pull out, you got to go to the archives of your arsenal. I mean, you have to go deep. You can't just get this little stuff because it makes it just,
it makes you look petty.
Because
it makes you look petty. It makes you look petty. Big deal. Shows a couple of grand on her taxes. Well, guess what? That's a phone call to the IRS. That's a phone call to the IRS saying I'm writing you a check for $2,000, $3,000, and that's the end of the story.
Right.
So I mean, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's not like it's $2 million. Okay.
Exactly.
It's $2,000 or $3,000.
Exactly. So, but that other deal, and again, if they can't really link her to that, the guy that. Manager or whoever she was working with, business partner,
campaign manager,
they might not be able to, so don't even bring it up if you can't really.
Well, no, I'll tell you that story, the story with the campaign manager transferring money to the LLC and shit. Okay, that's a big story. That's worth looking at because if they were moving money around to LLCs and LLCs, you can hide who's part of the LLC and stuff. You only have to list like the initial resident agent, and you can hire like an attorney to go on as president, whatever, or managing money.
How do you link her to it though?
Well, no. First of all, it's money. It's generally paper trails, so that's not a big deal.
Oh,
but
okay.
what I'm saying is, okay, if that turns out to be true, that's worth looking at. Okay, because that's a big deal. Okay, especially in 2019 with all this campaign stuff, and not to mention she's running in 2018, and there's all this campaign finance stuff going on with Michael Cohen and stuff. It wasn't like she didn't know anything about it. So that's a big deal.
Yes.
So if she was moving money around,
Okay.
if she was moving money around to stick money in her own pocket, she's legally allowed to use some of the money from your campaign to pay yourself and stuff. There's certain rules, though, but if you don't follow those rules, you can really get into a big world of hurt. So if she didn't follow them and she was intentionally not following them to pay herself extra money or whatever, then that's on her. Then she's going to have to figure that out. Okay?
Okay.
So that story, that story I'd look at. The other ones, no. The acting thing and the $2,000-$3,000, I could care less about.
Right. Yeah, I see. Okay. And okay, so Carl, one more thing, like about I don't know why I'm not feeling anything. I don't even care about that. These people with these colleges and arresting Felicity Huffman and Laughlin. I don't know why is that. I don't know why that's not buzzing with me. It's almost like, really.
Well, it bothers me because you should bother you a little bit too because you had to go to school also. But I mean, like you work your ass off in high school, you bust your ass, you study hard for the SATs, and then you want to get into a really prestigious school, and then you can't get in because somebody with a whole shitload of money, with lower grades, with lower SAT scores, gets it in front of you. Yeah, that personally kind of pisses me off a little bit. So yeah, I wouldn't mind some people going down the toilet on that one, honestly.
Okay, let me tell you why. I guess, you know what? I'm glad you said that. I guess the reason it didn't me probably because, my whole family went to, it's kind of like tradition because of HBCU.
Right.
I wanted to go to University of Colorado. So I didn't choose my profession. I wanted to be an architect or my school. It was kind of like, this is where you're going to go. My grandmother was retired nursing, she took me in. So it was kind of like that. So I guess I just thought whatever competitive spirit that I guess that I would have had, I didn't see that. So now I understand it's the same thing it's the same energy as affirmative action.
Exactly.
Is someone making lower scores and getting into a spot and basically probably in the end up blowing the spot for someone who's like, they even take points away from people who will make those awesome scores. So I understand
actually,
now.
yeah.
Thank you for saying it.
Yeah, because actually, I think with the Harvard thing, I think they were reduced. Weren't they? They weren't just adding scores to the African American students. I think they weren't.
They were taking away points from the Asians.
Yeah, they were discounting the Asians' SAT scores. So I mean, that's really. I mean, it's bad. It's bad enough adding points to somebody's score, but it's really, really bad when you take this guy earned those points and they just arbitrarily say, "Well, we're going to take." And then arbitrarily, without knowing this guy, except knowing his skin color, namely to wit, he's Asian, or his ethnicity rather, he's like, well, you're Asian, so you must be smart, so we're going to take away 200 points. He goes, no, really, I'm a dummy. I had to stay up, every single night and got 2 hours of sleep every night because I can't remember shit.
Exactly. 2 hours of sleep a night.
Yeah.
Yes. Reading and practicing, going everywhere, missing out on a quote social life. Carl, I feel like too, what I hate is that a lot of people, especially minorities, Black people, don't realize the setup. This is anytime anyone lowers the standards for you, it's not out of we're supportive of you. It's really out of disdain. And to me, something has to give. Something's going to crack, and it's really not good.
Well, no. First of all, if you lower expectations for somebody, in other words, look, we're human beings. Naturally, we rise to. It's like having your back against the wall. For some reason, when you're against a deadline or your back's against the wall, you find a way to work not just faster, but better. Like your brain starts.
I did papers better in college whenever I waited till the quote last minute. No,
I was the same way, and I hated it because I couldn't sit down and actually. There was no sense without a sense of urgency. I always had a hard time getting stuff done. But the sad part is I hated it because when your back's against the wall, and you're like kind of getting really anxious, and so it causes you a lot of stress.
Yeah.
So I wish I wish I didn't have to have that thing. But same thing. If someone has low expectations for you, if they have high expectations, you'll rise to the level. If they have low expectations, you'll fall to the level that they're expecting you. I was taking for law school. We were taking an LSAT law school admissions test prep course, like for the SATs. If they had they had prep courses for law school admission tests as well for the LSAT. And I was taking the class, and there was a black woman in there, and there was only like 7 of us in there. And so the teacher, no, it wasn't the teacher. It was one of the other students saying, how come you never participate? How come you never raise your hand or participate? Or the teacher calls on you, the instructor rather. You say, oh, I don't feel like answering. How come? What's up? And she said this, and this blew me away because this is 1990, spring of 1990. So I didn't know any of this was going on. And she goes, well, I don't care if, I'm not paying for this class, and they just told me to go here to maybe bump my points up a couple of points, but it doesn't really matter because I can get like a 20 on the LSAT and have a 2.0 GPA, and I can get into a UC law school.
Are you serious?
I swear to God, I remember this to this day because the rest of us all looked at her like, what? We need at least like a 35 or a 40 to get into a UC school. And you're telling us you can get in with a 20, and we need 3.75 GPAs to get in. And you're saying you can get in with like a 2.0. She goes, oh yeah. So she would just sit there. She would just sit there and do nothing, and not participate. They figured, well, you'll just go and raise your points. She goes, and basically the way the test was scored back then, I don't know how it's scored now, but getting a 20 on the LSAT is pretty much based on the point system. It's pretty much like just signing your name. It didn't really require you to get too much right. And we were shocked by that. And so, in other words, if they had told this woman, hey, look, you need like a 30 on the LSAT, she probably would have, by human nature, try to excel in that class, participate in the class, try to learn something, and stuff. But since she was told, oh, you only need a 20, and she goes, well, the hell with it. I can just sit here and sign my name and get a 20, and I'm going to get into law school. She didn't care. She didn't give a shit. And so that hurts her. And then when she's in law school, the same thing applies. California just had, for the summer bar exam in California, just had the lowest pass rate in the history of the California bar exam. It was 27%. And before California bar exam was known as one of the hardest bar exams in the country, probably the hardest. And it used to be an 18-hour exam, 3 6-hour days. Yeah. 6 hours on Tuesday, 6 hours on Wednesday, 6 hours on Thursday. Hardest bar exam in the country. Okay, now years ago, probably because of affirmative action, years ago they had to dumb down the bar exam because nobody was passing it. So they went to the Supreme Court and they asked for permission to drop it from 18 hours to 14 hours, right? And so the Supreme Court reluctantly agreed, and they said, okay, we'll drop it to 14 hours. So then they have this bar exam this last summer, and their pass rate's down to 27%. Normally it was like around 47, 48%. It was still pretty tough, but it was like around, it was doable. So they go to the Supreme Court again. Now, the guys in the Supreme Court are my age, okay? So they took the 18-hour bar exam, and they go to them and they say, hey, look, thanks for dropping it down for us last time to 14 hours, but we got a really low pass rate. Can we change the grading requirements so we can have more people pass? Well, this time the Supreme Court said no. F you. If you can't get people to pass a 14-hour exam, then you guys better go check on those law schools and see what they're not teaching these kids. Because right now in college, what I heard at UC schools, the average grade is an A. In other words, they're just giving out A's because they don't want any trouble.
Yeah.
They don't want anybody yelling at them, saying they're racist or homophobic. If like you have a student who's LGBT.
It's all by design, though. It's all by design. But I tell you, I don't know, Carl, why. I don't know. I tell you, it bothers me, especially when I hear about stuff like, like you said, the soft bigotry of low expectations. I come from a family. I mean, my grandmother went to college. Everyone I kind of knew did that. Now, my beginnings, first of all, they were very, meager and stuff. But when my grandmother took me, it's a whole different world. But the thing is, for somewhere again, this is gonna break, and I think the setup is. It's to demoralize other people who really do well and to make those people feel a sense of helplessness Like, okay, I know I
well,
made
yeah,
this A.
they say
I made an A plus plus. I think that's what it's about,
right,
and it's targeting people.
right. No, it's targeting people and saying, saying, look, don't bother. First of all, you don't have to try hard because we're going to give you an A anyway, and then also,
Yeah,
and then,
but it's demoralizing the people who do well, and it's telling them, look, hey, sucks to be you. It's wrong, but that's who it's sent. That's who it's set up to demoralize, because they're not trying. It's not like they're looking at the people who are not doing well and who aren't prepared or supposed to go to these schools. They can go to other schools. They're doing it to just kind of. It's like a slap in the face.
yeah. No, it is because if you
It
bust,
really is.
if
I
you
mean, we
bust,
need to call it what it is, and the people who are benefiting from it. You should. I feel badly if someone told me, well, you only have to make this, and they have to make that. It's oh, gosh.
no, it's pretty sad.
It's like this is how much you this is this is how you see me, as when we know you can't do it. So, but you'll still get in.
Right.
It's horrible. And then your colleagues and people look at you probably, without respect, because people then look at you and think, okay, how did you get here?
Right. Well, yeah, see, that's
Yeah.
the problem is right, because then people look at you in law school and they say, yeah, well, okay, like, right away, it's hard for you not to look at somebody and say, okay, does this person belong here, or does this person get here because they're
Yes.
of their skin color or their ethnicity or their sexual preference orientation
Yeah.
or whatever the deal may be?
And it'll show right away. It'll
right.
show right away. Now, if it's just you, just kind of, we have some bias, prejudices in which we all do, and that's okay. But then this person shows himself like, oh, okay, I understand now. But when you see the person kind of struggling, and then okay, I understand what happened here.
Yeah, and what they did in our law school, which is, and I only found out about this in my third year. Okay, here's the deal. Okay, so they had a big affirmative action push. I went to a private law school, so it wasn't publicly funded, so they could do whatever they wanted to do. So they had a big push to bring in African Americans into the law school. So they did, and I guess one of the first years one of the first years they did that was the year I started. Well, I didn't know anything about this. I was, I'm just trying to go to school. I didn't know. I found out about it the third year because one of the students there exposed all this, right, and it caused a big uproar in the school.
Yeah.
So okay, so you have like, I don't know, 40 or 50 black kids. The class size was 360. So it's like 40 or 50 black kids they bring in from, they all graduated college. Well, what they did, okay,
yes.
So this are the advantages they got. One, when you start law school, they give you a full week orientation because law school is much different than college. It's like your first year is like taking 36 semester hours per semester. That's what your first year of law school is like. So anyway, so they give you a full week orientation to kind of get you prepared for doing this. Now, these African American kids, they had a full month on top of that week paid for. And what a full month, and I only knew about this because we had 3 full semesters in our school, a fall semester, a spring semester, and a full summer semester. It wasn't like a part-time summer; it was full summer semester. You could do
was it quarters?
No,
Quarters?
Okay. It was semesters. In other words, the summer semester was equal to the spring semester and the fall semester. So if you wanted to, you could go fall, spring, summer, fall, spring. Summer and then graduate in like August instead of waiting till the following June. So anyway, there's this one library room I used to go to up on the second floor to study during the year. So I was taking the summers. I was taking the summer semester, and so I remember going up to the library, and there was a sign out front. It didn't say, free African American, advantage, seminar to help you get ahead of the other students. No, it said some kind of thing, and I thought these were high school kids. To be honest with you. So, and I see him in there, and the class, it was a full month-long class, and it was paid for by the school. They got, room and board. It was paid for by the school, and the dean himself actually taught the class. So they got a full month orientation on top of the 1 week the rest of us got. Then, this is how it worked also. This gets weird. Okay, we had 3 sections, 120 students in each section, section 1, 2, and 3. I was in section 2. Now, what they would do at the end of the first year, the lowest 27%, it was based on a curve. The lowest 20% of the students were kicked out of school. Okay, that's how they maintain their integrity and maintain their ranking. So each section, the lowest 27% got kicked out. Okay, you were gone. It didn't matter who you were gone. Now, they were afraid that if they separated the African American students into each of those three sections, evenly, they were afraid that they would all end up on the bottom of each section. So what they did is they put them all in one section. They put all the black students in one section, so they had a better chance of not all of them being on the bottom 27% of each section. That's the second thing they did. Then the third thing they also did, the hardest class I took my first year, the most, not the hardest, but the most time-consuming, was a class called legal writing. And it was really, it was very time-consuming. You had to write these papers, you had to do these research briefs. This is before, the smartphones and stuff. You had to go to the library and pull up books and do, it was like the old, it was the 90s.
The card catalog, the Dewey Decimal System, that stuff.
The whole fucking 10 yards, exactly. So it was really time-consuming. It took a lot of time away from studying from your other classes. Well, what they did with the African-American students is they waived them not having to take that class the first year. They could take it in their second.
Carl, stop it. Are you serious?
I am dead serious. They could take it in their second or third year. So they had one less class, which was just as time-consuming as saying the next two other classes.
Oh, my gosh.
Right, so they had that advantage, too. So nobody knew, and actually there was a rumor going around that even though they were allowed to defer to the second or third year, a lot of them never, I'll be honest with you, I didn't, like the class I took, I didn't see, I didn't have any African-American students in that class from like from the prior years. So the word was they never had to take it. Now the worst part about that is that taught you how to do legal writing and briefs. That's not something you learn in your other classes. So these kids are graduating law school without learning how to write a legal brief, how to do legal writing. Because that was a full year class. It was 2 semesters, a full year class, the legal writing class. So they never learned how to do legal writing or how to do legal research. And they're graduating law school, and they're going off into the world to be lawyers.
Right.
Yeah, and so that was back in 1990. I graduated in '93, and when that one student exposed it all, he caught so much shit and everything I'm surprised he even graduated because he caught a bunch of hell about it. He was from Colorado, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that's
where?
Excuse me.
Where did you say he was from?
Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I was shocked when I heard that because I'm thinking like, what, they didn't have to take, because then I realized who those students were in that second floor of that library. They were all in there. See, I thought it was like some high school kids and they were teaching them about law and stuff or whatever. And when I asked about it, because I wanted to use that library, and I asked one of the professors, I said, "Oh, who's in there?" And he just kind of mumbled something, and like, "Oh, blah 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 blah," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I didn't know anything. I didn't think anything of it. But they given all these advantages, and then I'll tell you something else that's scary. At my graduation, after I heard that story, that was right before I graduated, I remember looking around at the graduation ceremony. I didn't see a lot of African American kids at that graduation ceremony. I mean, maybe
so they flunked out, right?
They flunked out. Yeah.
See, that's what Thomas Sowell in one of his, books, or I listened to him. It was interesting. He's like, just put them where they belong. You don't have to go to the biggest school because you might. And it's not. This is what I disagree with. I don't know how anyone else feels about this, but I feel this IQ stuff. Look, I just have a different opinion of it. But I know, I did very well in school, high school, but my family, everyone has to do very well to get at least a bachelor's degree. We have to. It's just the way we do it in our family. Everyone's supportive of people going to college. It makes me really embarrassed that we allowed that and thought it was a good idea. At first, I can understand people not getting it and not understanding, but then someone had to see the effects, the ramifications of it, for later on. It's sad, but anyway, I know I've been on this call a long time with you. Carl, you're so easy to talk to, so I know the chatter was, you're really easy to talk to.
Oh well, thanks. Appreciate that. No, you're
You're welcome.
no, you're. I always like when you call because you have like a list of questions and stuff. That's really cool. So
yeah, but I didn't know that you saw that. That's when you called. Okay, I do have one more question.
Yeah, go
when
ahead.
you see that, because as a white guy, how do you when you see like white people being called racist, and about the history of the Democrat Party, and black people were still voting Democrat, and the 90%. I want to know you can't speak for all white people, but what do you think about that? What are you thinking when you see this stuff and you see people giving out fake statistics, people talking about, we're victims of police brutality? What do you feel? I want to know that.
Yeah, well, actually, I will speak for all white people because I can. But anyway, so
okay, go ahead.
Well, no, I did.
Well, the guy I can't date, he's white, and he's an attorney too. But right now it's long distance, and so I go there. But anyway,
it's funny.
I wanted to know what you felt.
It's funny because you ever watch like O'Shea Duke Jackson? Like he does like the Negro Manosphere.
He's about to block me a couple of times or silence me. I do, but that's a whole other.
Actually, I was the first white guy he had on his show to interview. I was actually on his show, and so So when he asked me a question, he said something like you said, as far as, well, yeah, I know you don't speak for all white people. And I said, well, actually, I'm the only white guy on the show, so I am going to speak for all white people. And if there's a white person out there that disagrees with me, tough shit. But anyway, so when I see people, hell, I've been called a racist. So I mean, it's crazy,
Yeah, when they get it all wrong, and what do you think even about being called racist? So, just please, I want to know.
Wait, let me fix my mic. Hold on, it's kind of coming out of the thing.
Okay.
All right, got it.
All right.
Okay. Well, I think it's really disgusting. Like when you see people say, okay, like I was remember right after, this was recent, right after the Stockton shooting, where that kid got shot with a cell phone in his hand by the two cops. You remember that story?
Well,
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. In fact, the cops just got exonerated by the DA's office. They decided they're not going to press charges on him. It was two cops. They were chasing this black kid. He was trying to break into people's cars and stuff, and I think he actually tried breaking into somebody's house, and he lived in the neighborhood. I'm an idiot. You don't shit where you...
was that Clark, Stephon Clark?
Yeah, Stephon Clark, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, Stephon Clark, yes.
Right.
Oh my God, yeah.
And of course, the kid's an idiot because you don't shit where you eat. He was doing it in the neighborhood he lived in with his grandmother. So, and not to mention, I mean, at the end of the day, he's being chased by a couple of cops in a helicopter, and what does he do? He runs back to his grandmother's house. Well, first of all,
and he hated dark-skinned black women because he said they bring dark days. Yet he's living with his dark-skinned black grandmother.
Well, the point is, he's got a couple of cops with guns chasing him. The last thing you do is bring that to your grandmother's house. I mean, they say they shot her. I mean, but anyway, so
I know.
Right. So I remember after that shooting went down, and Al Sharpton was out there, and he goes, black people are being killed all across this country by cops. And I went back and I looked at the numbers, and I think like last year it was like 17 unarmed black men were killed by law enforcement, and out of those, I forgot what the number was, that were fighting with the cops, were trying to get the cops' gun, were resisting arrest, whatever. So it was, but I mean, 17 is not all over the place. Okay, 17. Right. It's not 1,700 or 17,000. But I guarantee you, if you ask the average person on the street how many unarmed black people were killed by cops last year, they would say like, oh, it's like 1,700. Because you hear this. I mean, 17 doesn't even, I mean, there's 50 states in the country. I mean, 17 is not even one per state. So it wasn't like,
I know.
They're being killed. So when I hear stuff like that, and you go back and you fact check it, because initially when you hear something like that, you go, oh, that's awful. And then you go, well, wait a second. I don't remember hearing about this. So then you fact check, you pull up the numbers, and you got to kind of find the numbers because they're kind of out there. And you hear this, you go, wait a second. And then, of course, and they blame me for the horrors of somebody that happened 150 years ago, like 80 years before my ancestors even came to this country.
Oh, my God, right.
And I'm like, hey, man, I didn't do anything, and I'm sorry.
Exactly.
I was on a work scholarship in high school. which means I didn't get to play any sports or anything, and I was working every day after school and every Saturday and 40 hours a week in the summer. I'm sorry, I forgot. I guess nobody handed me my white privilege card. I guess I was busy working at the time.
Right.
And I had to work my way through college also and help, pay my parents' bills. So I guess I missed out on that too.
Wow.
Yeah, so when I hear all this shit, I'm like, hey, I had to bust my ass every chance I got to get to where I am. I worked construction. I weighed 135 pounds, lifted 110 pounds worth of drywall over my head. And I'm like, what the shit, So,
exactly.
And so it kind of, at some point, it does piss you off. I don't get pissed off to the point where I'm running around on the street corner going, I don't do that. But,
do you sort of get used to it? I mean, is it because have white people heard it so long that do you ever get numb to it when you see it? Because
no, you don't get numb.
I can't imagine.
You don't get numb to it. You just get it gets aggravating. You just it's not, look, if you're busy and you're working, you have a career, you don't have time to dwell on it. It's like when I do this channel, a lot of my colleagues said, "Oh, do you have like a law call-in channel like you do the law here?" And I said, "No way in hell. I do this to relax. I do."
Right.
I was like, "No, I don't like. I'm like, hey, I got this traffic ticket, and how do I get it taken care of?" No, I don't do that. I don't do that kind of a channel because everybody thought I did. I was passing out my business cards to my friends. And they said, "Oh, a law call-in channel." I said, "No, that's the opposite." Now, like I talk about the law, like when it comes to like Supreme Court cases and like this, like this Mueller report.
If we have a question about something, exactly.
That's different, but it's not like hey, Carl Law channel, call in and get some advice on how you fix your ticket. No, but the same thing here. I don't dwell on it. But when I hear it and then I fact check it and then I'll say talk to a friend of mine and say, well, no, that's wrong because of this, and then say, oh, you're a racist. Oh, no, these are just math. It's like math isn't racist. Albeit from what I hear, some of the community colleges are taking math out as a requirement for a liberal arts major.
Oh my gosh!
I know that's crazy. That's insane.
It is.
And liberal arts major, it's only fine.
We're on to them. It just won't fly. It's this whole dismantling of everything. And this is what I hate when I hear this, Carl, when people say, well, the Democrats don't have a platform. If they had a message, if they had something to run on, I'm thinking, you guys, they are running on something. And it's anti-American, anti-God, anti-humanity. I hate when they think that these people are supposed to switch over and all of a sudden have a sensible something that makes sense, a plan. They've already told you. They keep telling you who they are. And I just hate when I keep thinking that people are, feeling like, they need a message. They don't have a message. Yes, they do. They've been very clear about their message.
No.
And it's social. It's basically, socialism to me almost sounds too nice for what they're looking for.
Well, they're actually looking for communism.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually, it's funny because before they'd say, well, we're liberal, we're leftist, and they know you guys are socialists. They say, no.
But people don't even know what that means, Carl. That's what shocks me. Even the people who, I don't know, how is it? But I guess I do know because people, on that side, and I remember being raised up, we watch the news all the time and stuff, but it was always CNN, and even though, my grandmother was very conservative. She's a widow, she took me in, but we were conservative and she still would just vote Democrat. It's like they have a voting plantation. That's what it is.
Well, if you're told over and over again that the Republicans are out to kill you and the Democrats are here to save you, and then of course, people, even if you follow politics, if you look at the optics, okay, it was a Democratic president, Lyndon Johnson, who signed, the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, and the Fair Housing Act, the Civil Rights Act of 1968. So you see a Democrat signing these, and right away you think, oh, the Democrats are on my side. And then of course welfare comes along to help people come out of poverty, and specifically it was designed to help black people come out of poverty, give them a hand up. Like, oh wow, they gave us.
Was it really, Carl? Because see, I'm going to do a video about this because I think black people have some misconceptions, and black people keep saying things like, and I know, but I'm gonna do a video, and I can't wait to do it. It's called "Breaking Down the Myths of Blackistan Myths," about people putting the black man out of the house for welfare. That's not the case. It's not what happened. But go ahead.
No, I'm actually no. If you have researched that, I'll definitely watch your video because
please do.
Yeah, no, I will. I will definitely. I'm going to definitely check out your site. I had to write down your name because I looked at it and I said, "Oh, I'll remember it," right? And so I kind of did myself a little test in my head.
Click on me. Just click. Just click on me, and you'll the Republic Tea Room. And just click on me.
Well, I could do that now, but I'm in the middle of doing this. But what I did is I wrote down.
Oh, okay, I see. I'm sorry. You're right.
I wrote down your name on this piece of paper right here, so I have it. So,
okay.
So when I get done with the when I get done with the live stream, then I'll go over
so
there.
So you can watch the 14th Amendment with. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Carl, I guess look, I don't want to hold up this because I hope I didn't bore anyone in the chat, but I say it just feels good just to talk and ask questions and have this kind of discourse. It's so necessary on this side. I'm so glad that we're on the right side of things. Patriots, everybody in the chat room.
Definitely.
It feels good. It does, and I know it's right. And patriotism, and which I would think even leads you to belief in God and being good to people. This is definitely the right side. I don't see how anyone can. And you can look at what's going on over there and think that that's something that's going to be something to solve anything.
No, I'm just looking for the. I think McConnell's doing that vote Wednesday on the Green New Deal, so I'm just looking forward to see that vote.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
funny.
Well, hey, thank you, Carl.
All right, young lady. Good. I'm glad you called in. Definitely good hearing from you. I'll check out your site after I get done with the live stream tonight.
Yeah, awesome. And hey, Patriots, I'll be in the chat room, and good night.
All right, take care.
I'll be in the chat room. Okay, bye, Carl.
All right, bye-bye. And that was the great, the Republic Tea Room USA TX, Texas, also formerly known as Texas RN. So thank you, Texas. I'm just going to call you Texas RN. I'm sorry, that name's too long. So thank you, Texas RN. And, I see Charity joined us. Yes, Charity, you made it before we ended. Yeah, I'm going to be on for a little while, so I'm glad you stopped by. So I'll give you a shout out here. Let's see here. Dump. Yeah, good deal. So, yeah, that vote's coming up. McConnell is, McConnell's kind of a funny guy, and he's kind of sneaky. Let's see if I can find that story on that. Let's see. Okay, let me go up here. Let's see. I can find it. Let's see. We got it here. Bump. I know he's covering it. Let's see. Okay, I'm looking through here. Washington Times. I know it's got to be in here. Let's see. Maybe it's under Congress. Let's see. It's got to be in there. I mean, I just saw this report today. Nope. That's not it there. Okay, let's see if we got it in the print edition. Let's see here. Let's see. Maybe it's an e-edition here. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Nope. Nope. Well, I'll just tell you the story I know. Okay, so anyway, what McConnell's doing is okay. I was talking about this earlier with Mr. Douchebag. Well, okay, so anyway, Ocasio-Cortez files her bill with the House, for the Green New Deal, and she's talking about how great it is and all this other crap. And then, let's see here. And then Senator Markey co-sponsors it, so he files it in the Senate. And they expected, one, they knew Nancy Pelosi would never put it on the floor because she didn't want to let her members get nailed on this, voting up or down on it. And they figured McConnell would never bring it for a vote because McConnell would be against it. Well, McConnell, being kind of a sneaky guy that he is, says, "Oh, I have a better idea. I am going to bring it up for a vote. I'm not even going to hold any committee hearings on it. Not going to mark it up. Hey, you signed this name to it, Senator Markey, and senators always complain about not having their bills voted on, and you're a Democrat, and you're probably going to bitch and moan if I don't put this on the floor. So I tell you what, I'm going to put this on the floor for you." And he's doing it this week. I think it's midweek. It's either Wednesday or Thursday. I think it's Wednesday. And he's going to make all the senators they don't have to vote. They can always abstain, but then they look really wimpy. He's going to make them do a up or down vote on it. And now you could do normally a voice vote, but if one senator objects, just one, then you have to do it by count. You have to put your name to it, right? You have to go over there, tell the clerk, I'm voting yes, I'm voting no, and your name's assigned to it. And then they call the roll, like you saw in the Kavanaugh hearing. They call the roll, and your name's associated with a yes or no. So the $93 trillion bill, for the Green New Deal with all this weird stuff in it, and these senators, especially ones running for president, like Cory Booker and Kamala Harris, and who else is running out of the Senate? I can't remember. But anyway, so they're going to have to say yes or no on it. Oh, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, they're going to vote yes or no on this. And then they're going to have some explaining to do. If they vote yes, they're going to have a real hard time explaining that. And if they vote no, then they're going to lose their base. All the maniacs following Ocasio-Cortez because they think she's smart. I always think like dumb people like other dumb people in power because it's like, oh, she's as smart as I am, not realizing that they're dumb. Because Ocasio sounds dumb, but if you're dumb also, you think she sounds smart. So it's like, yeah, I know exactly what she's talking about. She understands what I'm saying. She knows me. Hey, I like her. Yeah, because you're stupid, So anyway, change the name to Just Gator. The other one is too long for people to at me. Oh, okay. Hey, Just Gator. But okay. So anyway, that's what McConnell's doing. And let's see. Let me see. Find a story here I want to cover. Let's see. Golden Heights, Gun Groups press High Court. Oh, how am I in funding for March? Let's see. Nope, nothing there. Let's see. Oh, okay. Let me get back to the Rosenstein story. I was covering this earlier, so I'm going to get back to this. All right, let's get in here. This is an interesting story. All right, bump, and put me on here. There I am. Let's fix that up a little bit. There you go. That's me. Anyway, Democrats' soured view of Rod Rosenstein diminishes complex role he played in the Mueller probe. Yeah, now the Democrats hate Rod Rosenstein. I was saying this earlier. They hate Rod Rosenstein. They hate Mueller because these guys didn't tell them what they wanted. Mueller wrote the report saying no collusion, and Rosenstein agreed with Barr saying there was no obstruction. There's no case for obstruction. So now of course, they hate Rosenstein. Anyway. And, of course, Rosenstein's a never-Trumper. I mean, Rosenstein was the guy talking about using the 25th Amendment, talking about wearing a wiretap on Trump. He's the one who appointed Mueller, didn't put any conditions or parameters on Mueller's investigation. I'm going to go wide open knowing what a mess that would be. So, anyway, this is by Jeff Murdoch of the Washington Times. Let's see what this says here. For nearly 2 years, Democrats figured Rod Rosenstein was their man in the Mueller investigation. They fought vehemently to keep him from getting fired. They even went to court to try to make him acting attorney general. Republicans, meanwhile, were so furious with the Deputy Attorney General that some drew up articles of impeachment last year. Yet it was Mr. Rosenstein who spent the weekend in ensconced with new Attorney General William Barr, reading Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report, then joining in the conclusion that President Trump not only didn't engage in any conspiracy to subvert the 2016 election, but also should not be charged with obstruction of justice. Rosenstein signed off on that. You know, him and Barr, it was a unanimous decision. It wasn't like they brought somebody else to break the tie. No, it's those two guys, and they both said no obstruction. Experts say Democrats unfairly decided Rosenstein was their Trump slayer when he was simply a government official trying to manage a fair investigation. The Trump slayer. That's funny. Rosenstein's like, I'm no Trump slayer. I'm just a dude with a steady paycheck. Anyway, there's a quote here. I remember when Rosenstein supposedly was going to be fired, and all the Democrats were increasingly concerned, thinking that he was on their side. Said Ian Pryor, a former Justice Department official. He wasn't on anyone's side. He was on the side of the rule of law and a fair but thorough investigation. In the aftermath of Mr. Mueller's report and his no collusion conclusion, oh, I love that phrase. I'm going to repeat it again. In the aftermath of Mr. Mueller's report and his no collusion conclusion, Democrats' feelings towards Mr. Rosenstein have shifted. Yeah, you think? I know, Charity, right? Trump slayer, right? But anyway, so remember the old Charity? I used to be disgusting. Now I'm just amused. That's a good one, Effie. Anyway, so in the aftermath of Mr. Mueller's report and his no collusion conclusion, Democrats' feelings towards Mr. Rosenstein have shifted. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, Rhode Island Democrat, said Sunday that senators must haul him along. I like the phrase haul him along with Mr. Barr and Mr. Mueller up to Capitol Hill and have them sitting side by side to talk about how they reached their conclusions. Why? Why do you deserve to know how they reach their conclusions? Okay, I tell them get bent. I say, go ahead, subpoena me. I'm not showing up. You know, if Barr wants to go, fine, but I'm not going. Have a nice day. Anyway, Mr. Rosenstein has gone from the Democratic darling to Democratic whipping boy, but analysts say documents from the Mueller investigation better reflect the complex role he played in the probe of Russia meddling in the 2016 election. Mr. Rosenstein signed off on some of the most controversial decisions involving the probe's investigation of Mr. Trump, including the fourth search warrant authorizing the FBI to spy on former Trump campaign official Carter Page, and the Rosenstein-authored memo that Mr. Trump used to justify firing then FBI Director James Comey in 2017. Little more than a week after Mr. Rosenstein created the special counsel's investigation and tapped Mr. Mueller to lead it. Hold on, let's see. Okay, right. Let's see. Now, Mr. Rosenstein has signed off on Mr. Mueller's conclusions as expressed by Mr. Barr's summary. Matthew Miller, who served as Justice Department spokesman for Obama-era attorney Eric Holder, is among those who say Mr. Rosenstein's legacy is tainted. I think his role in the Comey firing was inexcusable, and part of the reason he appointed Mueller, I pronounce it Mueller, sorry, Mueller, was to repair the damage that he did to his reputation. Mr. Miller said, that will always be a black mark on his record. He did the best he could to remove that black mark, but it doesn't fully expunge the record. Well, that's ridiculous. Yeah, okay, he appointed Mueller to cover up what he did when he said Comey should be fired. And Comey should have been fired. More broadly, Mr. Miller said Mr. Rosenstein managed to protect the Mueller probe itself, despite fears to the contrary. Mr. Trump never fired either Mr. Mueller or Mr. Rosenstein, yet Mr. Miller said protecting the probe meant giving in to the president on things he shouldn't have. Among those was caving to Mr. Trump's demand for an Inspector General's probe on whether the FBI inserted a spy into his campaign. What's wrong with that? That was such a dangerous precedent, it said, giving the president that investigation because he asked for it. Well, probably Rosenstein wanted it done too. So he's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on around here, but yeah, I'm sure Rosenstein was like, yeah, let's get to the bottom of this mess. Because, you know, Rosenstein wasn't going around sending text messages, okay? Anyway, so Mr. Trump, for his part, appeared on the verge of firing Rosenstein last year after a raid on the office of his personal attorney, Michael Cohen. The Cohen case was based in part of a referral from special counsel, and Mr. Rosenstein personally approved the search. At the time, Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer, New York Democrat, warned Mr. Trump not to go down that path. And Schumer told Trump, any attempt to remove Rosenstein will create the exact same constitutional crisis as if you fired special counsel Mueller, Schumer said. Don't do it. Don't go down this path. For the sake of our country, we plead with you, don't put this country through a constitutional crisis. From the right, meanwhile, staunch Trump ally Representative Jim Jordan threatened to impeach Rosenstein if he did not hand over documents related to the Justice Department's probe into Hillary Clinton's use of an email server. The impeachment articles also accused Mr. Rosenstein of failing to appoint a second special counsel to review FBI's actions in the Russia probe. And the proposed impeachment demanded Rosenstein recuse himself from the Russia probe. Excuse me, get some water. Tensions boiled over in a hearing last year. After a stern line of questioning, Mr. Jordan told Rosenstein it wasn't personal. And then Rosenstein replied, "Sometimes it feels that way." You saw when there we go. You saw when Jordan went after him in the hearing. You saw him say, "I take a lot, but don't tell me that I'm dishonorable," said Jim Trusty, a former Justice Department official who has known Rosenstein for 20 years. When you get to the core of suggesting he's corrupt, he'll fight back. A spokesman for Mr. Jordan did not return multiple calls and emails requesting comment. Rosenstein survived another rough patch after it was revealed he suggested wiretapping the president, and according to the New York Times, discussed invoking the 25th Amendment to remove Trump from office. Rosenstein called the claims factually inaccurate. He and Mr. Trump would later clear the error in an Air Force One meeting, and the president's public criticism of the man he appointed to the number 2 post diminished. This isn't inside knowledge, but I think the president recognized that Rod is truly an honorable guy and not a contestant on The Apprentice that the president could shake up with threats, Trustee said. It's a classic schoolyard situation where Trump realized this guy is not rattled by his stuff, and there is begrudging respect for that. Rosenstein is set to exit the Justice Department shortly, a move announced just after Barr was confirmed to helm the department. I'm glad he stuck around, by the way, because he signed off on that no obstruction thing. Both Pryor and Trustee say Rosenstein's stewardship of the Mueller probe will be well remembered by history. It's going to be interesting to see whether people who were drawing red lines to protect Rod will suddenly remember he is a conservative hack out to protect his friend, the president. And on the other side, if you have Freedom Caucus people say, I threatened to lock him up, but he's not that bad. So, yeah, he kind of doesn't win for losing on this one. But, you know, if you're a good attorney and you say, okay, let's take a look at all the facts here on obstruction. And Barr kind of pointed some of these out. And he said, okay, look, one of the things you got to look for is a corrupt intent. In other words, are the actions the result of a corrupt intent trying to, obstruct an investigation into you that you're afraid is going to come up with something that sends you to prison or your family or something? Well, and part of the decision-making process is say, well, wait a second. If Trump was cleared of the conspiracy with the Russians known as collusion, then he knew it, that he didn't do anything wrong, then did he really have a corrupt intent to get rid of Comey? Or did he get rid of Comey because Comey was an asshole? And Comey was putting out facts, phony facts into the press that Trump knew for sure were false. And worse than that, Trump knew Comey knew it was false. And Comey was doing it anyway. So he knew Comey was just trying to hurt him with fake BS. And so, yeah, at that point he's got to go. I mean, you got somebody there in charge of the FBI who with all the powers of the FBI at his disposal, who's trying to hurt you, knowing he's trying to hurt you with lies and things that are fake and the things that are false. So yeah, he had to go. Man, I don't blame Trump for firing. So in other words, when they look at okay, did he by firing Comey, was that trying to obstruct justice, trying to obstruct the investigation? Well, the proof's in the pudding. Mueller and Barr said, hey, nobody obstructed me. I had free reign to do whatever I wanted. So obviously, if you were trying to get rid of Comey to obstruct the investigation, you would have done something to obstruct, Mueller, and he didn't. So there you go. Well, let's see here. Let me get to this other story here. Push this up. Well, there's me and me inside of a picture of myself. So you get two of me. There you go. Actually, what I should do is I should put my other camera on so you get actually, what I was thinking about doing on vMix, there's a way to do a 3D camera setup. So then I'd be in 3D, and then I guess I have to send everybody those little cheap, dopey 3D glasses you wear at the movie theater, and then you can see me in 3D. As if seeing me in 2D isn't bad enough, you get to see me in 3D. It's like, nah, it's okay, we'll pass, Carl. We don't need to see you in 3D. Yeah, it's okay. We'll pass. But let me find this other story I wanted to look at here earlier. Let me see if I get to it here. Let's see. Mueller pours cold water on flaming stories about 6 Trump associates. Oh, my favorite guy, James Brennan. Let's see here. Let's see if that does anything there. No, that's good. Let's see. Okay. All right, let's cut over to this story. Let me back over here. Okay, Mueller pours cold water on inflaming stories about 6 Trump associates. Remember, this is John Brennan, I'm sorry. John Brennan, he was like, just 3 weeks ago, he's saying, a number of Trump's family, 3 weeks ago he said this, mind you, number of Trump family members are going to be indicted. I mean, really? I mean, just say it, and then if it turns out not to be true, you could find a reason why, you got it wrong. Excuse me, sorry about that. But okay, let's take a look here. This is by Rowan Scarborough. Been writing a lot of good stuff on the Mueller investigation, Trump investigation. The Washington Times. In the cases of 6 Trump associates charged by Special Counsel Robert Mueller, the thick court files are virtually devoid of any campaign communications with known Russian government officials during the election, an analysis shows. The lack of such contact... Wait, excuse me a sec. All right, hopefully that's better. Let's see. I'm back. Hey. All right. Okay, let's see here. So, anyway, so it goes on to say the lack of... Okay, so let's back it all the way up. In the cases of 6 Trump associates charged by Special Counsel Robert Mueller, this is like Manafort and Papadopoulos and Stone and those guys, and he goes on to write, the thick court files, in other words, everything was filed against these guys in court. The 6 Trump associates, like Gates also was part of that, are virtually devoid of any campaign communications with known Russian government officials during the election. So in other words, these guys went back and looked at what was actually filed by court, the indictments that were filed by Mueller's team, and I guess that would include Cohen as well, by the Southern District of New York. So in other words, you look at all the papers filed, and there's basically no mention of any communication between Trump campaign officials or Michael Cohen and Russian government officials during the election. And he goes on to say the lack of such contacts helps explain why the Mueller team of mostly Democrat-aligned prosecutors ended its investigation Friday without charging a Trump-related person in a Russian conspiracy to affect the 2016 presidential election. Attorney General William Barr released a summary of Mueller's findings Sunday that said the prosecutor had found no evidence of campaign collusion. Based on 2017 news flashes, this was not the way it was supposed to turn out. Yeah, I remember. And then it goes on through a list of news sources. Publicized on January 10th, Democratic Party opposition research paper told of an extensive conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Kremlin. Christopher Steele's dossier, based on 6 Kremlin sources, captivated Washington and fueled collusion charges by Democrats and liberal media. This is right before Trump got inaugurated. A month later, the New York Times reported a blockbuster. Here we go. Always a blockbuster. The U.S. government possessed a year's worth of phone records. Excuse me again. A year's worth of phone records and intercepts showing that Trump campaign aides had repeated contacts with Russian intelligence. I mean, this is all going down in 2017. This is, January, he's getting inaugurated, February. And all these reports are coming out. They're all coming out through the New York Times and other, CNN, MSNBC. All this nonsense is coming out. Tim, Carl in the chat going up on a Tuesday. Hey, yeah, we are. How you doing? Let's see. There you go. But let's see. But anyway, so then 2 months later, this is now March, President Obama's CIA chief John Brennan testified before the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence that he has encountered and am aware of information and intelligence that revealed contacts and interaction between Russian officials and U.S. persons involved in the Trump campaign that I was concerned about because of known Russian efforts to suborn such individuals. Now, that's one of the, like Chris Matthews on Friday, he was shocked because he's been in this echo chamber himself, hearing this nonsense over and over again, and he got to the point where he believed it because he hates Trump so much. Because he loved Obama so much, and Trump's pretty much undoing everything he did and making things a lot better. He's fixing things up for him. Let's be honest. You know, Obama fucked things up. Trump is coming in to fix things up. You know, 2 F words. One's fucking it up. One's fixing it up. You do the math, figure out which one's which. Then, like Sesame Street, like when we were kids. Which one is fucking it up and which one is fixing it? You know, Trump is fixing it. Obama fucked it up. Yay, Sesame Street. I think the let's see, the Grouch. I can't remember. I think the Grouch did that one. That song. But so there's Brennan testifying. He saw these interactions. So Matthews on Friday, one of the things he said, and it caught me off guard because I didn't hear all this. I go, gee, what did I miss? He goes, how can there be no, how can there be no conspiracy? How can there be no collusion? How can there be no collusion when you have all these meetings between the Trump people and the Russians? You know, all these meetings in between blah blah blah. And I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? You know, I've been following the story really close. I didn't remember any of that. Well, that's because you got guys like Brennan making shit up and saying, well, I encountered and am aware of information and intelligence that revealed contacts and interactions between Russian officials and U.S. persons involved in the Trump campaign, and that I was concerned about that because I've known of Russian efforts to suborn such individuals. Well, that's a bunch of bullshit. That's just a lot of talk without saying anything. And, these guys in the mainstream media just bought all this shit up. But I'm tired, laughing out loud too hard on that one. But anyway, so so these people again, the mainstream media, they've been just talking to themselves, and anytime somebody challenges their views or opinions, they shut them down. So if he had listened to like the facts, Matthews and the other guys on like MSNBC and CNN, they would have realized, well, that was bullshit. But anyway, it raised questions in my mind again whether or not the Russians were able to gain the cooperation of those individuals. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know whether or not such collusion, and that's your term, such collusion existed, said Mr. Brennan, who has accused President Trump of treason. Yeah, Brennan was nice. He skipped right over the collusion part and went right to treason. Later that year, CNN reported that U.S. intelligence agencies noticed a spate of curious contacts between Trump campaign associates and suspected Russian intelligence. Doo-doo-doo. On Friday, Mr. Mueller officially ended the nearly 2-year investigation without charging collusion. Well, actually, the charge would be conspiracy, and by informing the Justice Department that he recommended no further indictments. The cases against 6 people related to the campaign involved making false statements to authorities, tax evasion, bank fraud, campaign finance violations, unlawful lobbying, and witness tampering. Notice nothing about conspiracy with the Russians or collusion. Mr. Mueller has conveyed 2 indictments against a number of Russian operatives who did the computer hacking and established social media fake accounts in an effort to help Trump and hurt Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton. There was no charge that any American knowingly took part. So this is where it came from. So, this is editorialized at the end. There's no charge that any American knowingly took part. I read the report. He doesn't use those words. Mr. Mueller issued speaking indictments, documents that just list the charges but also provided narratives surrounding the crimes. He also filed motions and sentencing memos. The Washington Times found only one reference to a contact with a known Russian government official. It involved former Trump attorney Michael Cohen and an attempted hotel deal, building a hotel in Moscow. Here are the 6 cases. George Papadopoulos, the 20-something Trump advisor, was supposed to be the gateway to proving collusion. He was informed by a Russian-connected professor in London in March of 16. March, mind you. This is March of 16. The investigation supposedly didn't officially begin until July of 16. Nonsense. They didn't even get to the convention yet. They were still in the middle of the primaries. Okay, February 3rd was the first caucus. That was Iowa. February 3rd, or I think February 2nd that year. Anyway, in London in March 2016, George Papadopoulos was informed by a Russian-connected professor in London in March of 2016 that the Kremlin might own thousands of Mrs. Clinton's emails, with an apparent reference to the 30,000 emails that the former Secretary of State destroyed. Many people speculated at the time that China, Russia, or some rogue hacker might have obtained the messages. Mr. Papadopoulos also spoke with a Russian, whom the professor identified as a Russian conduit to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The topic? Mr. Papadopoulos' self-appointed project for a Trump-Kremlin meeting. The meeting never happened. There is no public evidence that Mr. Papadopoulos acted on the Clinton email gossip. He pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI about when he became an official campaign advisor and was given a 2-week jail sentence. On media tours, he said he never communicated with any Russian official, nor was he charged with doing so. Paul Manafort. Here's the case with Paul Manafort. The media also viewed Mr. Manafort as a key to unlocking Russian collusion. Manafort will be the key. CNN reported on contacts Mr. Manafort supposedly had with Russian intelligence. The Mueller team asserted that Manafort's longtime office manager and translator in Ukraine, Konstantin Kilimnik, was tied to Russian intelligence. The judge in his case said Mueller had not presented such evidence. Manafort's main offense was cheating on federal income taxes by failing to disclose $18 million in income. Manafort's defense counsel, Kevin Downing, castigated the news media for repeatedly reporting that Manafort communicated with the Russian government and blamed government leaks for a false narrative, and tried to gin up momentum for the appointment of a special counsel. Let's see. Mr. Downing stated in a court filing, despite multiple discovery requests in this regard, the special counsel has not produced any materials to the defense, no tapes, notes, transcripts, or any other material evidencing surveillance or intercepts of communications between Mr. Manafort and Russian intelligence officials, Russian government officials, or any other officials. Okay, there you go. No evidence of anything this guy was doing with the Russians regarding the campaign. Rick Gates, this is the guy who dimed out Manafort. A Manafort political consultancy partner and Trump campaign aide, Gates turned state's evidence and was a key witness at Mr. Manafort's Virginia trial on tax and bank fraud. Gates pled guilty a year ago to helping Mr. Manafort launder overseas money. His sentencing was delayed last month as he continues to cooperate in other investigations. Michael Cohen, the one guy who's definitely, well, Gates is not getting a pardon, and neither will Michael Cohen. Sorry, you're out. Mr. Trump's longtime personal attorney wasn't part of the official campaign staff. The Mueller team brought a charge of lying to Congress. The Cohen case file is a rare instance in which a Mueller indictment talks about a Russian government contract. Mr. Cohen sent an email to the Kremlin and later spoke once by phone with a Russian official about building a Trump Tower in Moscow. Cohen lied by telling Congress that talks ended in January 2016 before the Iowa caucus, when in fact they continued until June. Cohen created the January date in his written testimony, his attorney said. The prime mover on the Moscow Trump Tower project, though, was not inside the Trump organization. He was Felix Sater, a Russian-born boyhood friend of Cohen and a real estate developer. Cohen spoke to Trump about the project 3 times. Sater is scheduled to testify this week before the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. The case against retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. He pled guilty to lying to FBI agents about his discussions during the transition with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. The discussions dealt with U.S. sanctions against Russia and other foreign policy issues, and not with the election. Liberals viewed Flynn as another possible gateway to providing Trump collusion. There was no evidence that he colluded with Russians during the campaign. Roger Stone, the combative Republican political consultant, is charged with witness tampering and lying to House Intelligence Committee about his attempted contacts with WikiLeaks. U.S. intelligence concluded that the anti-secrecy group received stolen Democratic emails, WikiLeaks, and other documents from Russian intelligence and released them in July, October, November 16. Stone was not officially a part of the campaign, but continued providing advice to Mr. Trump, a longtime friend. That summer and fall, he was online and on the phone trying to find out when WikiLeaks would strike again. He bragged that he was in direct contact with WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, only to recant those statements. In fact, Julian Assange came and said, "No, man, we weren't talking to him. This guy's an idiot. He's making it up." Julian Assange had no reason to lie. He said, "Yeah, I met with him, whatever." The indictment says a high-ranking Trump campaign official asked Mr. Stone in October about WikiLeaks. Release schedule. On September 26, he appeared before the House committee and denied he possessed WikiLeaks-related emails. The indictment states, in truth and in fact, Stone had sent and received numerous emails and text messages during the 2016 campaign in which he discussed WikiLeaks, its head, and its possession of hacked emails. At the time of his false testimony, Stone was still in possession of many of these emails and text messages. Mr. Assange said he never communicated with the Trump campaign or Mr. Stone. He said many people, including American journalists, contacted WikiLeaks to find out when to expect the next release. Stone, who is set to face trial in the U.S. District Court and in the District Court in the District of Columbia, maintains there is no certified proof that WikiLeaks received the documents from Moscow. Carter Page, a former Trump campaign volunteer, is known to have mingled with Russian officials during a trip to Moscow on July 16 to deliver his public speech. So again, Brennan predicted numerous Trump-related indictments were imminent. January 25th, he said on MSNBC, this is just 2 months ago, I expect there to be a significant number of names that will be quite familiar to the average American. He also said, I think the shoes that are yet to drop are going to be the ones that are going to be the most profound, and that will hit the people at the top of the organization. On March 5th, today's the 26th? So 21 days ago. 3 weeks ago, he said, I wouldn't be surprised if, for example, this week on Friday, not knowing anything about it, but Friday is the day the grand jury indictments come down, and also this Friday is better than next Friday because next Friday is the 15th, which is the Ides of March, and I don't think Robert Mueller will want to have that dramatic flair of the Ides of March when he's going to be delivering what I think are going to be his indictments, the final indictments as well as the report. 3 weeks ago, he's saying this bullshit. And people go, oh yeah, Brendan, he knows what he's talking about. This is why Trump got rid of his fucking security clearance. As for the February 2017 New York Times article on repeated contacts between the Trump campaign and Russian intelligence, then FBI Director James Comey testified to Congress that the story was wrong, and he warned congressional leaders not to believe it. And of course, we know Comey was not a big fan of Trump, and even Comey told Congress, no, man, that's BS. Somebody made that story up. So there you go. So, anyway, I hope that's been a little bit helpful regarding the whole Mueller thing. I found it helpful. I was reading this article for the first time with you guys, so it's always kind of cool. So, here we get back over here. Boom. But anyway, let's see, let's get to the chat here. So, let's see who we still got up late here. We got Just Gator. Hey. And let's see. And F You Real. And Miss Charity, and yep, glad you saw it, Carl. There's and Republic Tea Room, I guess is still on. And Calissippi, Tim Calissippi. Calissippi, that's funny, like Mississippi and California. That's an interesting combination. And let's see who else. I saw Douchebag, but I think Douchebag was taken off for the night. But anyway, it's a little after midnight my time, which makes it about 3 a.m. on the East Coast and a few hours everywhere in between. And I'm probably going to, didn't Assange tweet that he was to release the emails? Same way felons no longer have those rights. History of behavior results in loss of rights. Yeah, I guess. But anyway, I'm going to get ready to call it a night for tonight because it's about midnight and my time. But I do want to thank everybody. We've been doing this since about 9 p.m. tonight, and I just want to thank everybody who came on the chat tonight. Some new people I hadn't seen before. Thank you so much. Thanks to the people I have seen before. Thanks, Miss Charity. Glad you finally, Miss Charity, got on a live stream. Yeah, as you know, I have another full-time gig I do, and I don't have any set times when I come on this. Sometimes I work really late. And so I can't say, gee, I'm going to come on at 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 any given night. Kind of hard to tell. But thanks for following me. I found there's a way to post information, I guess, to the subs off of YouTube. Let everybody know that I got a live stream coming up. And then, of course, YouTube, if I post it, they'll promote it on my channel, not anywhere else, of course, but on my channel. So hopefully that helps a little bit. I know my schedule is terrible, and I don't keep a set schedule for you guys, and I know that's awful. Trying to follow me and find out when I'm going to go live again or something. But so I want to thank Republic Tea Room USA Texas, Mr. Just Gator, Charity, Effie Real, and let's see, go backwards a little bit here. Without skipping over anybody. If I do, I apologize. And see, it's only going to let me go back so far. Tim Calissippi, Effie Real, the great douchebag, of course. Gadidu one, gotcha. And let's see, I don't want to miss anybody. It's only going back. And douchebag, Laura Sanders, how you doing? And Black and Irish crazy chick Sheena. And let's see who else. I know I'm going to miss some people. Let's see. Links to Don. Oh, God. Can't forget links. Hey, links. Hey. And let's see. So, anyway, I want to thank everybody who's been on the chat room tonight, everybody who's been viewing this, everybody who will be viewing this later. And if you like the video, please hit the like button. And if you like it a lot, then, hit the subscribe button. Hit the little notification bell. At least that way you'll be notified. I generally try to put them up on YouTube about an hour or two before I start broadcasting. So hopefully you'll get a notification, and if not, then you could always, it uploads right after I get done with the live stream, so you can always watch it later. So anyway, guys, thanks again so much. Really great discussions tonight. Thanks to everybody who called in. And until next time, have a great night, and I will see you later. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.